All right. Welcome in, everyone, to
He was
Valhalla
good.
Esports Season 6 playoffs, second live game of the playoff set. With me tonight, Zabel, Kazuto. How you doing, gentlemen?
Doing great. Ready for some banger playoff games.
That's right. Yeah. So tonight we're going to have Los Tomatos versus Zenith Gaming. The winner is going to take on Y'all2's Endless Void. How you guys feeling about this setup tonight?
That's great. I don't have to do any homework because I can watch it all right here.
free research. I honestly didn't know that was the case, so that's great. Just finding that out now, so that's amazing. But I'm really excited to see these two teams play each other. I think that I don't know if we want to get into it, but I'm most looking forward to the mid lane matchup, kind of the battle of who can do the least interacting in the mid lane. We'll see, who gets the pushing mage and then actually gets to roam. So I'm excited to see who can actually roam to help their jungler out. Because I do think that the bot lane will probably be in favor of Zenith. I think VFD Lambo is pretty good. So yeah, I'm looking for the mid lane impact of this game personally as a hallmark for me.
Yeah, Zenith Gaming definitely going into this game as the underdogs, but they've shown at the end of the season they've got what it takes to win games. Like Lambo goes crazy mode a lot of the time, so we'll see if they can take it off Los Nematas. And was that roster's correct? They have Smoothie. Is that a sub?
No, they have Smoothie. Smoothie is not a captain this season. He was drafted, I think, in the first round by 420 Samurai.
Oh, okay, never mind. They just swapped the roles around. Okay.
Yeah, they've swapped a lot a lot around this season. But Smoothie starting in the top lane, now down in the support 420 started off in the bot lane with Slug, so their team's been through several iterations.
A little strange. I feel like I don't know how much support Smoothie plays. It feels like he's pretty off role here, but maybe they just feel more comfortable having Jelly in the jungle.
Smoothie
Yeah, I feel
mained
like
it.
if you're gonna have Jelly in your team with this roster, like having him in the jungle makes the most sense with these players, just because he does play that role in solo queue. Decently high elo, and he's going to be experienced on those tank junglers, and like Bentage, pretty known quantity in the mid lane, is going to be solid there, able to hold his own with most of the other laners. Um, and yeah, like you said earlier, because like VFD Lambo definitely the star of this team, and gonna probably hopefully be a little bit of supportive setup around him to enable him to carry. We'll see if that shows through in draft.
Smoothie did main support last season for his team when he was captain.
Okay.
It sounds like a supportive name, so it just makes sense. Like you're not going to be named Smoothie and not be support.
You can see right off the bat, Zenith Gaming taking out the Endless Void Giga Meta setting Yorick. No one wants to deal with this champion. Can't blame
Just
him.
solo shaping the meta. That's my mid laner. Taking the Amumu out as well. Shout out Major Cock Rocket. Really putting that one up there on the priority list. But Poppy going to be the final ban for Los Namados. Signature champion for KB Jelly. No surprise that we're going to ban that one. Speaking of signature champions, the Samir also taken away. But Maokai going to be the choice, the immediate response of the Gwen lock in. Now that could be a Maokai flex pick, and crucially also could be a Gwen flex pick, as Gwen is also decent in the
Yeah.
jungle.
I
So
think
we're gonna
that
have
is
to
a
keep
full
an eye out for
area
that.
Gwen. I don't know if Hobbit would want to just slap down a blind Gwen, unless they just think that it's Maokai top for sure. But, it could always be the flex pick in there. And, I mean, most teams have been opting to triple ban Lambo in the first phase, but you see Los Namadas here don't want to deal with that Poppy, so let's see if Lambo picks his misfortune on 3 here before it gets banned in the second phase. Goes for the Zaya.
Yeah, the Zaya as well is something I was going to shout out that he also has been pretty good on, and we'll have to see if Los Namados actually want to end up banning away that Rakan and take away some of that synergy and regage options from Zenith Gaming. But Los Namados taking their time here on the third pick from Red Side. Gonna see what they're gonna respond with will be the Atrox. So channeling some the shy, and I was just watching some of the old the shy Atrox outplays today actually. Because that one against G2 where he just got the 1v5
Worlds.
like yeah, just disgusting play. We'll see if Los Namados could channel some of that energy here today, as they will ban the Morgana as well, a classic Ben Touch pick. So great ban from their side. And we'll see what they want to take away for Zenith Gaming. I'm assuming you're going to want to try to pinch the support or the jungle pools here, unless they do make that read. But that will be that Gwen jungle
Yeah, Los
with the
Namadas
Aatrox being locked in.
in need of a front line here. See if they want to take away some of those picks. They have kind of nothing but dive, Vayne going in too. They seem to think that the Gwen. That's interesting. They have the Aatrox and the Gwen, so I figured the Gwen's going jungle, but they're banning the Ivern anyway. Be a misread from Zenith Gaming potentially.
Potential misread, maybe some big brain scrim data with the
Yeah,
weird mid lane
unless they
picks
know
or something. But
some Gwen mid that I don't know about. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I have to agree though. I do think that we'll probably be seeing the Gwen go to the jungle, and maybe just rounding out their bases here with the Lulu support ban, just trying to just make sure they don't get caught unawares with any of these kind of counter picks or weird flex picks. So now that all the bans are locked in, we're going to have to see what these teams choose to round out with. Los Namados here going to have that fifth pick. So
Ugh.
at the moment, it's looking like they're going to be saving the fifth pick for support. So really valuing that bottom lane matchup, or they're just trying to do some flex stuff. Because honestly, this draft looks like they could be flexing some of these around. Juma, shout out with the Prime subscription.
Okay, upon doing some research, it does look like Snurbopsy has been playing Ivern support. So,
Okay, so they're just big
Zenith
braining
Gaming
here.
not wanting to deal with that. Getting some of the
I also would not
advantages
want
out
to
of the
deal with that.
way. The classic vintage MVP or finals MVP season 2 Xerath coming out here. Legacy pick.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I like to see that against what Los Navados have right now because they don't have a lot of ability to get onto that Xerath quickly. They have the kind of we're going to run at him strategy, and with the Maokai already in her team and a champion like Zaya that can create so much zone control, Xerath's poke actually does a lot of work, especially because there's not really a lot of shielding or healing on the side of Los Navados. So great pick, and then the Udyr coming through here does signify that Maokai will be going down to the support role. We'll probably see the Udyr make its way towards the jungle.
Yeah, neither team really having and especially if this Janna's locked in, neither team has any way to really start fights. They're just gonna be looking at each other. Zenith Gaming having a lot of disengage, but no really trigger to start the fight. But they do
Yeah,
have a
not a
lot of
lot of
tools to just
engage.
carry Zaya up.
Yeah, the Zaya should have plenty of room in these fights, but the thing is that with Zaya being a pretty close range kind of AD carry, it is going to be a little difficult to try to make your way inside of these engages and navigate dealing damage against the Anivia, the Janna, the Aatrox, even the Gwen and the Vayne that can hit you from pretty much what your auto attack range is. So, going to be interested to see how Zenith Gaming choose to play this out. I do favor their draft here, but Los Novatos has the kind of team comp that if you get even a couple kills on some of these champions, it can snowball pretty fast. So, especially if it's Zenith Gaming, like you mentioned, don't have they can't really pull the trigger here. They just kind of have throw the Maokai ultimate in prey that you get the right target. So, yeah,
Yeah,
going to be
Zenith
pretty
Gaming
fast and
definitely coming out with a lot easier comp to execute, but people like Hobbit on the Aatrox, we've seen him week one demolishing our top laner. Shout out to Juma on this Aatrox pick. So we know Hobbit can get it done on the Aatrox, and we'll see what happens in this game.
Yeah, Juma with the Prime subscription and was doing the Prime 2-day delivery of the kills to Aatrox in that first matchup. But hey, Hobbit, he's doing it to him. Let's see if he does it to him here today for Los Tomatos. Really just fascinating drafts from either side. It's just really short range aside from the Xerath. So honestly, if I'm the Xerath in this game, I'm feeling pretty good. The Janna makes me feel a little bit less good because those shields will be pretty good onto the poke that
Right.
Xerath is going to try to provide. But as far as just being able to be that artillery mage fantasy, there's not a lot that can really get onto you as the Xerath through the front line that Zenith Gaming has established for themselves. So I'm going to give the draft edge to Zenith Gaming, but obviously there's some wild card options on Los Namados here.
The concerning thing for Zenith coming out of this draft is the disgusting prio that Anivia will have once she hits 6. We know Bulgaria loves to just full clear merchant into every single objective the second that it spawns. So having his mid lane pushed in and ready to come every time is going to be really good for Los Namadas.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if you saw that most recent Team Liquid content piece with Spawn versus 20 Redditors or whatever.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Really, really funny. But basically, he was complaining about the same kind of thing in League of Legends now, that it's just like objective into objective into objective into objective is kind of how the game feels. So you can just perma force fights if you're ahead. And the
Yeah.
enemy team has to come because of how strong all the objectives are. So, with that Anivia prio, if Los Namados is able to establish somewhat of a lead early, they can try to snowball that lane prio and this kind of strong objective control that Anivia does provide into some favorable fights for them throughout the game. So we're really going to have to see if the Anivia can create enough of that situation in the mid lane. Don't get poked down by the Xerath, don't fall behind the lane, keep that tempo up, and really try to do what she does best, which is force fights around those objectives.
Yeah, we'll have to see what kind of build Vintage opts into. He is famous for going for a little wacky build sometimes, likes to rush the Seraphs when he probably should just be getting more damage, but just likes to make sure that he's keeping himself safe. So we'll see if he opts for that again here. I know he likes doing it on Lux.
Yep, looks like the teams are just about ready to go. So it is just monstrously loud. Champion select every time. It's so crazy. I feel like that noise, like for loading into champ select, is loud. Is like 200% louder than every other part of the client. Yeah, just gonna see those bands here again, but you know, I am gonna be curious to see what these junglers end up pathing in the early part of the game. Just because I do think that the Maokai is going to have an easier time kind of getting things going. Or not the Maokai, the
Udyr.
Udyr. Yeah, Udyr is going to have an easier time getting things going into the early game with that crowd control he does provide. Um, and the Maokai will assist that as well if we can see some support roam synergy here for the side of. Um, I'm just blanking on these team names.
Zenith Gaming.
Zenith Gaming, yeah. All the different acronyms in front of these players' names when they're on Zenith Gaming, but none of them have this. It's like VF, HYG, and
Yeah.
KB. It's like, all right. But yeah, I do expect the Udyr to be able to get things going a little bit more with his teammates here in the early part. And, when you have a team comp like the side of Los Namados that is just so heavily scaling and in every single role, it's actually really hard to have any winning spots in the early game. And that's pretty much what Udyr wants to be against when he's in the jungle. You can control 3 quadrants, you can giga farm, maybe even go the Leandry's build, just be perma clearing camps and just be up like 3 or 4 levels in the enemy jungler, and just it's a complete unplayable game for the Gwen. So I expect to see the Udyr trying to force that kind of a game state, especially with the fact that his lane should have some good prio early on if he can provide the right pressure. Um, at least bot lane and top lane, maybe mid lane's kind of a little more even. But I do think that I'm going to be looking towards that Udyr to kind of try to snowball this game here for Zenith Gaming. And I think that for me will be the piece that really decides how this game goes.
Yep. KB Jelly does like going for the Q Max one shot Udyr build. He kind of just runs at carries and drops the Q on them and destroys their health bar. So, it could get a lot of good ganks mid on the Udyr against this Anivia. See if Serath can, land some slows on him. Udyr wraps around. Or I'm sure the Aatrox will be playing very aggressive on the Urgots. So definitely some good angles for this Udyr early.
Yeah, and I don't really know how I'm kind of curious why they actually didn't go. If they're gonna end up taking the Zaya here, just flex the Maokai to jungle and take that Rakan for the support. But I guess they just were probably just always planning to have the Maokai go support and maybe weren't really trying to flex it. But I like the pick still. Um, I do think that, like we touched on earlier in the draft, was that both of these team comps struggle with range and engage. So I think, like you said, it's going to be a lot of that just kind of standing there and staring at each other and waiting for one person to kind of do something before the fights actually end up popping off. But yeah, I mean, if this is allowed to go to like 30 minutes, a relatively even game state, I actually do think that's where it starts to edge over towards Los Namados, just because the amount of damage they have is so much higher, and they can just kind of melt through the side of Zenith Gaming that doesn't really have a true tank. Urgot goes Bruiser. He's not going to be buying tank items. Jungle Udyr is not going to be super tanky, especially if he goes like the more damage-oriented build with the Leandries. Maokai support's never going to be a true tank. So that Vayne, Gwen, Aatrox, and Rivia are going to absolutely melt through the health bars of Zenith Gaming if they let this go long enough. So that's another reason why I really need KB Jelly in this one to take over the early game and try to play that 3 quadrant game, or maybe even that vertical jungle game, and just pick a side of the map and dominate it. Because if he doesn't do that, it's going to be that much harder for his team to actually close the game out if it gets to that late portion.
I'm definitely gonna look like a rough game for the Zaya. Like picking it pretty early, only seeing I believe it was Gwen and Vayne. Maybe he just wanted the ult protection against the Gwen dive, but it does not look like an easy Zaya game to pilot, especially with this bot lane 2v2. He's probably gonna be on the back foot most of the game. But it is one of Lambo's signature picks. We'll see if he can do what he does and pop off.
Yeah, I personally am a believer.
And I don't know if we got it up in the Twitch chat, the predictions, but
I
It
don't see them there,
it already
but I'm gonna heat up
passed.
some tea while we have a
I would
minute
already
here.
passed. All right,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Nice.
As soon as the draft had finished, I had posted it. It's just me versus Juma. So
All right, what'd you put your points in?
I put my points on Los Tomatas, higher seed. I
Yep.
definitely hear you guys that there's limited engage this game. I think the better engage is on Zenith Gaming. Um, I'm interested to see what Bulk does. I think I've seen him play Gwen like once outside of ARAM, so it'd be kind of interesting to see how he executes on this champion.
Oh, it is the perfect Bulgaria champion. He loves not interacting with the enemy team.
It's
He
true.
loves just clearing his camps and hitting the dragon as soon as it spawns.
That's absolutely
Perfect.
true. Yeah, Shyvana used to be really good for that for him.
Oh yeah.
Let me just solo at level 4. It's fine. We got Free Sims captain in the chat.
What was that, Mothra?
Yeah, Mothra's Bazinga calling out Bulk always doing the objectives.
A no TP on the Anivia. Jumpo really likes taking ghosts.
Yep, that's right. You got Zabel and Kazuto on the casts.
Gotta say, it looks like Los Nematas won the skin game. A little bit more color coordinated. They have better skins. Oh, that Xerath skin looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the Xerath skin is cool, but the Udyr skin for sure ruins it for their side of the skin
Yeah,
war.
definitely up there
Uh,
for worst skins in the game. It's a
yeah,
April
it's
Fool's
tough. It's
skin.
tough to look at. Oh, I just noticed it's Sable and Kazuto. It says Bazinga
Oh
1017 in
yeah,
the chat.
we're attached
Nice.
to the hip. We
Yeah,
do
shout out
everything.
this guy's perception skills, just truly rolling nat 20s all day. But insta pause, that is what you're gonna want to see.
We're getting an LTA. We're getting the LTA experience on this broadcast. Insta pause.
A summoner has reconnected.
Yep,
And Kid Buu is not even in the game.
Bazinga is needs more Mothra.
Zabel's not good with names. He probably doesn't know who that is.
Yeah, wait, you're gonna have your name. You're gonna have your name be Bazinga and be like, "I'm Mothra. How did you not know for my name, Bazinga?" Like, what? All right. Wow, Sable, you are a very good caster. Sable, you make this. I can't. I can't handle it, bro. I can't. I gotta turn the chat off. All right, so no level 1 shenanigans as of yet. Looks like it's just a classic fan out. Not seeing either of these teams trying to employ the Endless Void strategy, which is not invading, by the way, for anybody that were. Well, I guess these guys wouldn't be watching because we're playing them, so yeah, we obviously invade probably almost every game, but you got to pick a different path every time, so you know, never let them know your next move.
Of course. We have the dartboard with different paths, so we just toss a dart on it.
Yep,
Start of
a
every game, see where
dildo
we're
actually
going.
with suction cups on both end, so it's just no matter which way it hits, it sticks to the wall. Shout out Major Crockett. Got some tea here, so we can make it through this one. But yeah, Ward going down on the bottom tri-bush on the red side, so not going to spot too much with that one, but really playing defensive. Don't want the enemy team sneaking in there. You know, I like to personally think you can just like VFD Lambo's doing, you actually just sit in the bush, and if someone walks up there, you walk away. I think burning that ward early is actually generally not the best. So not a lot of great early vision from either of these teams, so should enable the junglers to be pretty unspotted on their paths.
Neither team has any idea where the junglers are starting. Of course,
Yeah, so we'll see.
Vintage winning the early game with the early mana flow proc on Gwen before minions spawn.
Yeah, and another Q there too, as the camera panned away. Already winning that health bar trade.
Junglers opting for the same path here, just going full clear, red side to blue. Obviously inverted though.
Yeah, crucially,
Oh,
Udyr not going to be clearing towards that bot lane as Smoothie going to be pretty low after that trade, but a good amount of damage traded back onto Tuskegee and Snirbopsy, so going to have to watch those health bars down there in the bottom lane if we pan away. Some potions being chugged here for the AD carry.
yeah, pretty good
On
trade
the red
for
side.
the Zenith game bot lane. Oh, Lambo!
Lambo flashing in, getting the root collar down, and then follow up by the Maokai to get the knockback, and that will secure them the first blood. Phenomenal root collar by Lambo to flash in there after getting those feathers down.
Wow, I didn't think the 2v2 would be this favored for Zenith Gaming, but Lambo just showing this is my Zion. Maybe ban it.
Yeah, and I mean, Tuskegee Doctor just caught completely unawares there. Medical degree notwithstanding, looking like he just did not have enough to live there at all. Even burning both summoners, just phenomenally played by Lambo, and crucially still has that barrier for the next fight exchange, so another 2v2 would probably go their way as well. As really good trading here from the Urgot in top lane. Samurai just putting down so much hurt onto Hungry Hobbit. Procs that Conqueror for a little bit of healing, but just phenomenally low there on the top side, and it's going to have to play and save that level up, doing a lot of work there, getting almost 100% more health than he had before it happened, and Samurai playing this really well. We'll see. He actually gets the flip back again. Maybe gets a solo bolo here, and actually KB Jelly coming right over the wall, securing that kill with the flash. And honestly, if you are on the side of Zenith Gaming, that is exactly what you want to see. Getting that Udyr a kill early can start to take over this game like we talked about in Champ Select.
Yeah, seedings be damned. Zenith Gaming showing they're here to play. They're getting some early advantages in this game. And we'll see if Los Namadas can kind of weather the storm. They need to slow it down and stop making so much early mistakes if they want to have a chance in this game.
Yeah, and we see Bentage here in the mid lane just constantly pushing Shumpo back, just going to be farming under tower with that Anivia. Somehow still up on the CS department here, but is going to have to take a recall, and with no teleport, we'll get that wave crashed into the tower on him. So, going to miss a few there, but good on him being at least up in the CS, and you could see Tuskegee and Snirbopsy just playing so far back now in this bottom lane. They have to at this point with their summoners being down. Just getting pushed into the tower. Not much going on down there otherwise. Is Hungry Hobbit going to take a tower shot for his hubris? And I feel like every time we pan mid lane, I see Bentage landing a Q on the Xerath. Can we get this guy checked for scripting? Is there if this one misses, we can... Oh, yep.
Well,
little sus there.
Once this Anivia champ is level 6, there will be no more interaction in the mid lane. The top lane is in such a good state for Samurai. He did not even have to burn his TP there. You see him, even items, lanes on his side. He has TP advantage. Slow pushing in, though. Good timing for this grub spawn soon.
Yeah, great timing for the grub spawn, and honestly, the dragon just being taken straight away by Zenith Gaming is going to enable them to actually just make their way to the grubs as well if they choose to contest those. And Samurai just honestly dominating this top lane. We expected the Urgot to have a kind of advantageous matchup here, but We talked about Hungry Hobbit on this Aatrox being pretty good. Oh, the ultimate gonna go wide, pulls the Ajuma, and just straight up misses that R on the Urgot. Not gonna let that have that one go through. As the mid lane, they do push Shumpo back again, and now 420 Samurai gonna be in kind of a bad spot. But Bulgaria popped that ghost, but shouldn't quite have enough to get onto Samurai here. Does end up having to go to the other side, but
the
Urgot, we just
heal
panned
saved him
away.
from the W2 damage on the
And
Urgot
killed
there.
the Aatrox with the tower damage as well. So that's a 0-2 start for Hungry Hobbit. Kind of a directed camera L there, but he didn't end up getting the kill. And now his team also straight up to those grubs. So that's a first dragon, first 3 kills, and first 2 objectives for the side of Zenith Gaming. So kind of how we talked about in the Champion Select, that this early game is going to be so much easier for Zenith Gaming to pilot. Just all late game scaling champions for the side of Los Tomatos is a really greedy draft, and it's kind of showing through why that's so hard to do in this kind of a league. You are going to get punished for that.
Yeah, and that whole set of plays here, kind of the fruits from the early 2v2, like Lambo having such a lead on this bot lane is just chilling 2v1 while Maokai's able to just buddy up with the Udyr for the dragon, roam mid, go get the grubs, and come back. Lambo still has a CS lead, still in a great spot.
Yeah, and that's exactly. Well, I mean, it's like a 3 CS lead, but that's exactly where you're gonna want your leads, though. For the side of Zenith Gaming, you're gonna and KB Jelly just straight up camping the bush with a red
one shot.
Tiger Form one shot, like you called out in the Champ Select. Just KB Jelly waiting in the bush, master of the jungle. Just the most tilting thing that can happen to you as a jungler is you're just doing your camp, minding your own business, and then someone just comes out of the bush to level up on you and one-shots you. It's like, oh man. I mean, having the flash, but Bentage almost falling there. Good flash out, that electrocute almost taking him out, but able to actually make it away there and popping the ultimate to just trade some damage back. Pretty brave move, honestly, with like 1 HP to do that. But wow, yeah, I mean, KB Jelly taking over the game here, playing that 3rd quadrant in the enemy red side, and now Gwen relegated down to the blue side of its own jungle.
Bulgaria just types GG team diff in chat.
Yeah, definitely maybe thinking that one now, maybe draft diff. Gonna have to go back to the drawing board with some of these choices here for the side of Los Tomatos, but not over yet. They do still have the scaling option. If they can keep it at this kind of a gold gap, and kind of stabilize from here out, maybe extend the game another 20 minutes, there's definitely a world where Los Tomatos can find some favorable conditions for themselves. But you have to think that with the way the game is structured at the moment, with the amount of objectives that Zenith Gaming can force with their early lead here, that it's just going to be much easier for them to snowball than it will be for Los Tomatos to stabilize, but not out of the realm of possibility.
No flash.
Oh, he's going to him. He's gunning for him. The client knows when there's going to be kills or not. So it actually does. So with the spectator client, because it's that delay of 3 minutes, the reason that the directed camera can go straight to the kills or action when it's happening is because it's already happened. So if there's not going to be a kill, but there is a fight, a lot of the times the camera will just pan away because it knows the kill is not going to go through, which is a funny trick there.
We saw Bentage opting to run into the Anivia rather than his own turret there, taking a lot of his health as a result. But,
yeah, sometimes it's about sending a message.
We see the flip of this matchup. As soon as the Anivia hits 6, the Xerath can't keep up with her wave clears.
Samurai getting jumped on here, does end up getting to get the dash out and the flash. Not a lot of CC to come through, but the Gwen damage is just so massive there. Gonna take a few tower shots for his trouble. KB on the way, does have that flash available, and crucially, Gwen does not have the ghost. We'll see if he opts to go for that. Looks like he's probably turning back around, but there's maybe a chance there for him to try to get something on Bulgaria, but Samurai just a bit overextended, and Aatrox now with a non-negligible CS lead here in the top lane, and gonna further extend that as Bentage with the snipe just pops the ultimate, ends up taking him out, getting followed up by the Maokai here. We'll see if they can catch this Aatrox, but probably just gonna look for the wave.
Okay, wasted teleport from the Urgot here. I think he had enough time to run back, but maybe he wants to be here for the grubs, but I feel like with the Gwen going down under tower there's no threat for Los Namadas to contest this.
Yeah, they see both
So,
bot laners on red side. Maybe they don't know where the Anivia is, but yeah, I mean, I think Urgot maybe could have saved that one as well.
a TP advantage for Los Namadas for this dragon fight. They could look to have a numbers to try to swing it in their favor and come back into this game. They are looking to go for it now. Doesn't look like Aatrox will TP as he's getting shoved in.
Yeah, and you got to remember that. Oh, as the root comes down here for Lambo, but ends up getting stunned up himself. Maokai ultimate going to come through, but doesn't look like there's going to be much value from that Xayah ultimate other than getting the flash from Srmbopsy, but a great tornado to kind of disengage. Don't think it'll be enough to end up living here as the slow from the Udyr is just disgusting, and Bentage off to the side with the snipe yet again. KB Jelly trying to proxy this wave, but getting chunked by the Anivia as he's just going to end up falling, but crucially with the bot lane for Los Namados taken out, maybe there's a world where Zenith can kind of try to look for this dragon, but they're honestly just, the health bars aren't there, and Gwen being here just offering so much damage with this Anivia is a big problem for them, is just immediately take out Lambo, just not respecting the ability of those champions to get onto him. And you know, what was looking like a pretty good early game for the side of Zenith Gaming is kind of looking like these lanes going towards the favor of Los Namados in a lot of these fights. The Aatrox just straight up getting the solo bolo there onto Samurai.
Yeah, Lambo getting punished for flashing aggressively in that last fight, not having it.
There's just a lot of random deaths here, and the stun going to go through as well onto Benta. It's just going to end up falling, just playing a little too close to the sun there, and ends up falling. A lot of random deaths here in the neutral for Zenith Gaming is really costing them a lot of the tempo they could have had.
Zenith Gaming seemed to be crumbling. I don't know what's happening, but the gold lead is not there for them anymore. Los Namadas get themselves a dragon, and this game is going to become a lot easier for them now that Zenith Gaming is just throwing on repeat.
Yeah, literally throwing on repeat. The Anivia now 3-0. It's going to be a massive problem. Has a 40 CS lead. It's just going to be such a huge, the most fed champion in the game now. And KB Jelly had that lead, still has a good CS lead and a kill lead on the jungle there, but with how strong this Anivia is and her ability to just move around the map now and push the lanes, it's a lot harder for the Udyr to exert his presence on the map. So I really do think it's going to come down to maybe some smart side lane plays with the 6 grubs that Zenith Gaming have, but we need to see them break these outer towers so they can start trying to make those kind of moves.
And with the Anivia being this big, we're definitely going to see the struggle on Zenith with their lack of just map engage. Like, they can't just run at the Anivia who just puts down the ulti, I forget what it's called, and just, you know, laughs as she walks away.
Big Ice Circle, I believe, is the name. I believe that's the official name.
Glacial Storm.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I actually think it's Big Ice Circle.
Yeah,
just DM Timberland. Yeah, Glacial Storm or something like that for sure. Maybe Blizzard, I don't know. Unless you just actually announced Glacial Storm. As Maokai going in here, getting trapped up by the Anivia wall, which is actually, it looked like it's been such an obnoxious ability here for them, as directed camera to the top lane to maybe see the solo blow, but VFD Lambo now getting jumped on and dies before he can actually activate that Blade Caller. So you see Vayne here getting so much healing from that Janna ultimate and able to just tumble around these fights, take out both the bot laners of Zenith Gaming and back to the top lane. Hungry Hobbit was feeling pretty good against the Aatrox, but KB Jelly says, you know, you can't really mess with me on this Udyr. There's a reason that I play this champion, and it's to try to solo kill enemy top laners, as he is going to do a pretty decent job at that. But honestly, Hungry Hobbit doing a good amount of damage himself, almost takes down Jelly. Would have needed another sweet spot or two to finish the job, but KB Jelly with a solo bolo on the top side. But honestly, it's not looking good for Samurai anymore. He's consistently losing every single one of these 1v1s against the Aatrox, and it's yeah, I think that's kind of just the tale of the game. A strong early showing for Zenith Gaming, but Los Namados now, it's not even the late game. It's still pretty much the early mid game, but they just managed to turn it on its head.
Yeah, we can see with the gold leads here, like Zenith Gaming solo lanes, they did have the upper hand early, but with all these silly deaths and the CS gaps, they are now both just super far behind their Los Namadas counterpart. Really only a gold lead on the jungle. That's not really where you want it on a champ like Udyr.
Yeah, we'll be able to get this bot lane tower most likely if any of those minions hit it. If they don't, they get ran down now. Try to get the peel off at the Maokai. Fortunately for them, there's not a lot of engage on this side of Los Namados, and Udyr now being here is actually massive. They can just run them down. There are no flashes on the Gwen, though she does have that ghost. Should just end up falling here as Janna able to walk it out, but do expect that tower to go down. But, you know, sadly, not a lot to do on the map after they take this one. It is good for them to get those 2 kills. End up burning the Janna ultimate too, but, you know, Dragon's not spawning. Herald is available. We see red side pings going on to that immediately. Maybe guessing that Zenith Gaming is going to want to go for this one. We keep seeing 420 go for these 1v1s, but they haven't really been working. Looking a little better now with these items, but Aatrox healing is just going to be so relevant here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the Urgot build is, or whether if you'd rather have Bramble or Executioner, but probably would want either one of those early in this matchup. We see Aatrox. Oh,
gets the flip and does actually end up hitting that R and gets the solo bolo. A wonderful flip back from Samurai, and getting the R to connect there as well with the tower shot is enough to take down Hungry Hobbit. His eyes were a little too big for his stomach there and ends up getting taken out. And, you know, I think 420 is going for that Black Cleaver rush, but yeah, like you said, the Bramble Vest would be nice to have against this Aatrox early on.
Yeah, but he just tells us, nah, I don't need it. I'll just kill him anyway.
Nah, I'd win. Yeah, just taking it to him and maybe reigniting a little bit of hope here for the side of Zenith Gaming. Do have about that 1k gold lead, now have pulled ahead again in the kill score, but my eyes are really going to be on this next dragon fight. Who's going to start stacking towards this soul, as we do have a pretty impactful soul here on the map. Yeah, should be that Hextech soul coming through.
Yeah, we did see before that top lane kill, Los Namadas with the counter throw, saying, you guys helped us out, let's help you out in return.
Oh, I thought we were going to see a bit of a Fnatic brush there. Yeah, just going to start this one on Vision. You know, Los Namados know they're doing it, so Bulgaria says, you know, you can have that second dragon, we'll take the Herald. Try to break open some of your base somewhere with that. Maybe we see Zenith Gaming try to make their way up and contest it, but, you know, Gwen just pretty much shreds this thing. It should be gone before they can get there.
Zenith Gaming wanting to force, though.
Decently healthy still, honestly, so they can maybe get in there in time. The Maokai ultimate is going to come down. We'll see if they can actually get on it. Snarbopsy should just be finished off here, and Gwen in the pit trying to take it and finish the objective off. Does end up getting it, but should pay for this with her life there. Tuskegee Doctor able to port out with that Hex Gate, but Bulgaria going to be feeling decent about getting that Herald, and I think Tuskegee was actually able to pick it up on the Vayne and port out.
To pick it up. You know, 20 seconds, Otacon spawning in this top lane. We'll see if Zenith wants to transition there after this top lane push with a couple down on the side of Los Namadas. They are looking to force a tier 2. Might be a little
Yeah,
bit
I
of an
definitely think they could take this too with the 6 grubs and just having 4 members up here. You know that Vayne and Gwen are not going to be back on the map yet, so... But Janna back to shield the tower, so yeah, like you said, maybe a bit of an overstay here as Tornado's going to land on a smoothie. Gets slowed up by the Janna, but ends up going back in. Aatrox, I think, is just a little too up there. Gets just completely popped by the damage from Zenith Gaming, and now Bulgaria getting exhausted, but not a lot of follow-up damage to come through. Is going to end up just dashing away there with the Gwen, so yeah, I do think with the Atacon spawning here, maybe you can go do a bush bait play here for the side of Zenith Gaming. They do clear the ward, so you have the ability to kind of wait in the fog. But Snarbopsy coming back with a full inventory of wards should be able to spot this out. Crucially, Zenith Gaming dropping a ward and getting that crab on their way out is going to give them some idea of if Los Namados attempt to start this one off their reset, which it looks like they are going to end up starting it. KB Jelly's around.
They're gonna get shredded by the Otacon here.
Yeah, they're getting shredded, and they get some pretty decent poke, and KB Jelly's here in full HP. The rest of the team about half HP, but thanks to the Otacon and the Zeroth poke, their health bars were low as well, and that ended up mattering so much, as now KB Jelly just dealing so much AoE damage as the Udyr on the backline just absolutely melting the enemy team who already had the resistances shredded by the Otacon. Gonna end up taking all of them out. The Maokai ultimate gonna come through, not even needed there at the end of the fight. Anivia, the only one left to walk away while Zenith Gaming take this Otacon.
Yeah, we see maybe perhaps some miscommunication on the side of Los Tomatas in that earlier top lane play. Aatrox going in, expecting the team to fight, while the Gwen was going on a super long play and just maybe not knowing where he was. And forcing the Otacon, the classic Otacon throw. Just getting your resistances shredded while the other team pokes you. Teams love doing it. That's a big lead coming out of Zenith Gaming here. We see 2 items across their carries. Jungle 2.
It is an interesting Udyr build.
I'm interested.
I kind of feel like
as well. The Rylai second.
Yeah, I feel like with these leads would be so much more if maybe a little more of a standard build. Like I don't know. I don't know anything about Udyr. I've never played that champion. I don't know if that build's good. It just doesn't seem like it's good. I feel like I always see the Leandries take over, but it looked like he still did a shit ton of damage there in that fight, even with that build. So maybe feeling better being a little tankier.
I believe it is Q Max Udyr. I believe that's the jelly special.
You know, man's cooking. You like to see it. He's 8-1, just absolutely stomping this game. We'll see if he can translate that to a win here for Zenith Gaming coming out. You know, just kind of punching Los Nomados in the face in the early game, then taking a few hits back, but now really just showing the fact that they can play around these objectives just that much better here in this one. A little bit disjointed play, like you mentioned, from Los Nomados in that last fight and in a few prior plays. We'll see if they can get a good dragon setup here. Are trying to make their way in to get some vision down.
And we saw
but Maokai just makes that so annoying.
Of what we brought up in the draft, where there's a potential fight breaks out, where Zenith Gaming might have overstayed in that top lane, but Los Nomadas having no ways to pull the trigger on them and punish, and they just have to walk into all the disengage on the side of Zenith Gaming.
Lambo just kind of going straight into the Maokai ultimate coming down the backside, and Lambo ends up dodging the lethal damage there with the ultimate. Gonna pull the feathers back to get some CC down onto that Gwen, who is so low. Zeroth poke is gonna come through and get the snipe there at the end. Bento's able to flash out. Might not be able to make it away from the Aatrox here, though. Is stuck right against that Anivia wall. Urgot ultimate was down, but expired actually before he could pull him back in, but it didn't even matter. KB Jelly's here to clean him up. We'll see if Shumpo dies for the first time here. Will end up falling, that passive being popped and him being taken down. An ace for the side of Zenith Gaming, and soul point secured.
Udyr just flashing in, making sure Vayne knows he is not ever allowed to play the game for queuing as AD carry. Lambo, it looked like a massive int play, but somehow with the size of the wall at Zenith Gaming, we're able to show up and just win the fight anyway. Secure the dragon, possibly an inhibitor here.
Yeah, Shumpo saying, is that a wallet in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? It turns out it was just a wallet just full of money, and they just smacked them right in the face with it. Just KB Jelly going for the third item Triforce here. You love to see it. As the Baron will be spawning soon, you expect that one to be taken down by Zenith Gaming pretty much at their leisure. As 70 CS lead here for Jelly in the jungle. Just absolutely massive game for him. Big props to the guy. Absolutely popping off. And Lambo in a lot of these fights getting so much damage down, and honestly just kind of the global taunt button on this Xayah, where you'd think that the teams would know that the Xayah wants you to try to burn all the engage and stuff onto her so she can pop that R and get away, and ends up having a really good use of his R in most of these fights. So well played by Lambo as well.
Yeah, Baron is on the table. We'll see if Zenith Gaming decides to set up around it. We do see Jelly full clearing the bot side, though. Not interested in being up here around the objective. He needs his gold. Triforce is completed. This Udyr is massive.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgustingly large bear. Unfortunately, skin still sucks. It's not gonna be a fan of that skin. But hey, maybe that's what you need. You need the skin that doesn't look great, so you can look great in the game, and just that contrast is really what does it for you. But gets full vision control on the Baron side now. Have to make sure you clear that blue side quadrant of the camps before you start the Baron, just because you want to be able to get that farm number go up. It's a strategy that I like to employ as well. As KB Jelly here on the top side, dealing so much damage, and there's just no way for Hungry Hobbit to get out. Gets taken straight to Isengard there, and KB Jelly and Bentage now making their way down towards that river to start that Baron buff.
Yeah, and I mean, I could be wrong, but it looks like Hobbit pulled a Kazuto there and S-keyed while he was getting killed. He just accepted his fate. Might be a little tilted.
Yes, I mean, sometimes you gotta alt-tab while you're dying, just the Korean builds to see, what the meta picks you can do for the next game are. Because, yeah, I mean, this draft did not work for me for the side of Los Tomatos. They had some moments where Zenith Gaming was kind of weirdly inting into them in the early mid-game, but they got it back together around these objective fights, which we always expected to be a little easier for the side of Zenith Gaming with their draft. And yeah, they're just kind of making it look easy now. In most of these fights, they're just laying their CC and damage super well. Doesn't look like there's a lot of options for Los Tomatos.
Yeah, Samurai really coming out of this game, like, surprising everyone, overperforming, just really fat-cocking his lane at the top there.
Yeah, that solo kill under the tower was sick.
Right. And, the R1 Gwen might have to be looked at here. Doesn't look very successful. I don't know what other kind of picks Bulgaria's got cooked up. I know the Mumu was banned, but we might
see
have
the Nefiri.
Back in the
let's see him bring the Nefiri out. That's what I want to see. We're gonna play the carry junglers, play the dog. It's a completely unrelated note, but I never want to watch a League of Legends game where someone plays Nefiri jungle and Rafa is casting, because he just does like the IRL barking noises.
Oh,
but it's like with his voice, it's just terrible. So, shout out to the LPL, I guess. But it's tough. It's tough. But they look to close the game out here.
Yeah, with the
on to the Nexus
with Flash up there. That's all of Los Tomatos wave clear, and Zenith Gaming with the Baron are either gonna take everything but the base or just win the game.
Yeah, playing it slow and steady here. Just gonna do it by the book. Take the mid inhibitor and the top inhibitor. They have the split pushing jungler on the bot side, making sure that bottom tower is secured as well, so they can rotate over there. They're gonna be really pressuring all three lanes at once here. Gonna be the 3 inhibitors down 3 lanes of super minions, which is such an impossible game state to come back from. Not totally impossible, as we've had a few bangers that came back from on triple inhibs down, but very difficult to win from this game state for the side of Los Tomatos. But if there's any champion that can clear these waves, it will be Anivia.
Right. I do think Zenith had an end angle there, but definitely opting into the safer, more guaranteed win here. They get all 3 inhibs, they get the soul, they can reset, spend their money, just come back and siege while they wait for that Baron to respawn. Zenith definitely in a very good spot in this game 1.
Yeah, and that gives KB Jelly time to farm up for his 6th item as well. So definitely going to be something you're going to want to do in the farming Udyr. Guys, my camps are up. I'll be there in a couple minutes. So has plenty of time here to farm his camps, get that item, and be the strongest Udyr he can be. Sitting on 11-1 now, and has that Jack show as well. So just doing a ton of damage and also so tanky. Really going to be hard to melt through this front line with how behind Los Tomatos ended up getting in this game.
And opts for another Negatron cloak. He's been stacking those. Really does not want this Anivia to do any sort of damage to him.
Yeah, really worried about the Anivia and the Gwen. Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't end up getting like a Bramble Vest or something here, just as a little item piece, unless he just didn't have 800 gold and he only had exactly, 750? I think you get a little bit more value out of having a Bramble Vest when you're against champions like Gwent, Aatrox, Vayne, even the Janna, but don't really think that decision is going to be of much consequence here as they push it on into the base as KB Jelly gets the flash down, showing that Negatron Cloak value, taking almost no damage there on the back end, and getting sniped back in by 420 Samurai. Lambo Tuskegee looking for a pop-off moment here, but it's just not going to be enough. Not enough mobility on this Vayne to get away from an Udyr and the Maokai. Gonna take down these Nexus towers here, force the rest of the Los Namados members into the base, and the game over emote flashing there. Zenith Gaming taking game one in dominant fashion.
Yeah, really good start to the game for Zenith. Got a little rocky with a couple throws, but just turned it back on and just did not give Los Namados any avenue back into the game.
Yeah, absolutely showing no quarter there. Solid CS per minute numbers as well on the two carries of Zenith Gaming in Udyr and Zaya. Udyr actually having the highest CS per minute of the game aside from the Anivia, which is nuts. But my man really on those clean clears timers there in the jungle. Love to see it.
Yeah, the 18 KDA too. Just extreme Udyr solo carry this game.
Yeah, I had a 20 KDA last time. That's but yeah, just crazy performance. And don't think we're going to be seeing that champion come through again here for game 2, Kazuto. I think we'll be seeing that one banned away, I would assume. Maybe they let him get the Poppy. I personally would rather see a Poppy than that Udyr.
Right. I mean, the Poppy, while Jelly does have his weird one-shot builds, I feel like it's not going to be doing as much as this Udyr was on the back line there.
Yeah, I'm just remembering that Atacon fight where he just is like 1v3ing, or maybe even 1v4ing in that case. Just the health bars are just melting and Xerath damage layering on top of that. Just looking really impossible to play. Yeah, Zaya Feathers as well. Just it looks so hard for Los Namados to play, and I think after that point it was pretty much over as far as Los Namados having a chance to come back in that one. But yeah, I mean, we will have to see what the draft adjustments will be for Los Namados. I don't think either of us were really a big fan of their draft specifically, and we had some criticisms of Zenith Gaming's draft as well, but they did at least have the ability to play that dominant early game from the jungle, have at least some crowd control, engage with the Maokai. So I'd like to see Los Namados with a little more agency in their draft and the ability to kind of pick the fights they want, because you saw, like, on the Atacon fight we were just referencing in that game, there was a moment there where Zenith Gaming was kind of overstaying with pretty much half health on most of their members, but Los Namados just couldn't pull the trigger. They couldn't actually start the fight on their terms, and that just allowed them to get flanked and just kind of ripped apart by the Udyr. So I expect to see that one banned.
How practiced Nurbopsy is on engaged supports. I know he likes the enchanters, but I don't know if the R5 Janna against a team with no dive, basically. I guess unless you count the fed Udyr just run into your back line. I don't know.
Yeah, but Janna's not going to be the champion you're going to want to pick to kill an Udyr. It's like, what wins? One gust of wind or a bear? Yeah, I completely agree. I'd really like to see Nurbopsy take some of these engage options, like even a stronger CC tank option like the Braum. I want to see if they can, if they want to have another draft like that. I really think the support role is where you're going to want to have a little bit more of a front line, a little bit more of CC. So see if there's any adjustments made. But KB Joey in the chat failed my EE into the Janna R. Didn't even notice that, honestly. Don't even play Udyr, so to me all the abilities look the same.
It's a CC immune.
Okay.
So shout out to Juma getting, I believe it was 3K points on the win.
Hey. Yeah, shout out to Timberland getting 100,000 points. Yeah, can land those bets. Hey, land bets, not alts. That's our motto.
Yeah.
So waiting for the
But
teams to
yeah,
line back up in the lobby and
what
wait
adjustments
for
do you expect to see aside from an Udyr ban?
Maybe we see Shumpo on one of his more lane dominant picks. We did see him have a big CS lead, but on a champ like Anivia, it's not you're not going to be taking over the game. You're just going to be clearing waves and preventing the team from running into you. So maybe something like his Katarina. I don't remember if it was banned game one. I don't think it was, but we'll see if he opts into one of those picks. Try to get a massive lead for himself and carry the team.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see that too for going against this Zenith Gaming squad here. Um, Definitely want to see some lane domination, and not just kind of the trading waves back and forth if we're not going to make stuff happen in the early game. Uh, but yeah, I think Zenith Gaming just phenomenal performance in that game one, and I think really it is going to be on Los Nomados to make some adjustments here to try to pull out a game two win and give us a series here that goes to game three. But all the momentum now, obviously, in the hands of Zenith Gaming, and again, can't say enough how well KB Jelly did on that Udyr. Just really making me look like Lisan Al Gaib here for the for the catch he does talking about Udyr, just the 3 jungle quadrant gamer, but he did do it. He dominated that early game, and that's exactly what you want out of that player. And here we are into the draft here for game 2, Zenith Gaming versus Los Nomados. I see you in the chat there, 420 Samurai, saying it's Zenith, but
Yep.
guess what? Now I'm definitely going to keep saying Zenith.
Team captain giving us the correction. Zenith Gaming.
Sorry, 420 is Samurai. But yeah, we'll have to see if there's any ban adjustments for either of these squads.
Side again.
Yeah.
Really wanting that counter pick. They gave it to support and picked the Janna. It wasn't much value last game. We'll see. They try to prio pick another support, maybe something like the Ivern that was banned. I don't know how much they enjoy that pick. I haven't seen it, but apparently Sir Bobsy's been playing it, so
Yeah. I mean, Ivern just one of the most busted champions in the game, and also like super underplayed for some reason. Really just because he's not really fun to play. That's really just why it is.
But I mean, he's OP from his like jungle clear. I don't know how
Yeah.
good he is just sitting in the bot lane.
That's true. His skills are pretty good baseline, but yeah, I would assume he's not going to be as good from the support role, but apparently good enough to warrant a ban from Zenith Gaming. But yeah, I don't expect to see that 5th pick go to support again, unless they're really cooking and have something planned where they can actually make it work. But I'd like to see them really utilize that counter pick if they are on red side, or at least utilize some sort of flex options. Boosted Sandwich with the Let's Go upset alert. Was Zenith Gaming not supposed to be favored in this one? Was Los Tomatos favored?
Yeah, I believe Zenith Gaming is the 7th seed. Los Tomatos is the 2nd.
Oh,
So,
wow,
I mean,
okay.
based on the seeds, definitely coming in as an underdog, but this Zenith Gaming lineup did not play the whole season, so maybe the standings aren't a true indication of this team's strength, as we saw in game 1. Definitely have what it takes.
Thought you were gonna say something else. But yeah, I mean, in game 1, just really just impressing me, honestly, with how clean their objective play looked. And as we wait for the draft to kick off here, I really do hope, honestly, I'm going to call it like I see it. If we see another draft like that from Los Nomados, I'm going to predict just the Zenith Gaming 2-0 from the draft. I don't want to see them playing another kind of comp that has 0 early game agency, that has absolutely no way to make fights happen, and is kind of just hoping you can farm without anything bad happening for 20 minutes and then just go into the mid-late game farmed on strong scaling champions. That is not a winning strategy. And I really hope we see some adjustments come through here, because Zenith Gaming knew exactly what they wanted to do in that game. It was have a dominant jungler farming, have the ability to 2v2 in the bot lane, and, equalize in the top lane. and have like just the mid laner's ability to roam and lay down damage from like halfway to the bot or top side. And we saw Bentage get so many snipes with that Xerath. We saw KB Jelly take over 3 quadrants of the jungle, and I really, really, really want to see Los Tomatos pick some agency for themselves in this game number 2, give themselves a chance to play the game in the mid to early mid game and actually, keep it competitive.
Perhaps a more ganking oriented jungle from Bulgaria. We see last game lots of trading in all 3 lanes. See if he can take advantage of the fact that these people are just low pushing in his laners instead of just ignoring them for his camps.
Yeah, and we see same bans coming through here for either side. I don't think the Ivern was banned in first phase
Right.
last time
Ivern
around. I think it was second phase, but
the Mumu
is going to
dropped
be
here.
that Smolder. Yeah, the Amumu dropped, and they do ban away the Poppy and the Smolder. We'll see if they ban the Udyr away or if they think that wasn't the problem, which I would disagree with, and they do end up taking it away. And the response will just be the immediate Amumu lock-in. Shout out Major Cock Rocket. Could be the flex pick, but gonna pretty heavily assume it's gonna go to the jungle there for KB Jelly with 2 of his other champions banned away.
All right, Los Nematas dropping. I don't remember what the other ban was from game 1. I think it was an 80 carry.
Yeah, I think it was the Samira.
Oh, right.
But gonna take that Sivir early, which is an interesting first pick.
I mean, the Mumu
Pretty dominant
Samira
laner.
bot lane could be a strong 2v2 if they want to go for that here.
Yeah, it really could be, especially with having the Amumu already. It just provides that CC for the Samira to really pop off. Wouldn't be surprised to see that or just see the Xayah again. Sivir, though, does create a situation for Los Nematos where they can have pretty much push prio in that bot lane at all times, especially if they pair it with something like the Morgana, something like, they can't get the Karma, but there's that Samira lock-in for Zenith Gaming. And, we saw Volibear for the side of Los Nematos. Could be jungle, could be top, we'll have to see. Could be support even.
Okay, so Amumu is going jungle. We have the Braum locked in with the Samira. Definitely a different look from Los Nematas this time. Just with the Sivir volley, they have a lot more. They have better ways to get in there than just run at them. So it's definitely better off this time around. We'll see what they round it out with.
Yeah, I like the Braum here into what we see already from Los Nematos. Braum just so good against champions who are a little bit closer range, like the Volibear that you already saw. Can block a lot of that Sivir, bouncing damage with the shield. If you throw up that Unbreakable when Sivir throws out the Boomerang Blade or the Bouncing Blades, and Galio going to end up being the lock-in here as they do ban away that Morgana Los Nematos does from the side of Zenith Gaming, which I think is a great ban. Obviously into Bentage, one of his most famous champions.
Yeah, we'll see if they decide to ban the Seraphine again or if they decide that the Xerath was annoying and want to ban that instead. I do believe they're saving counterpick possibly for mid. I don't know if Galio's a Shumpo champ. It might be a Bopsy Galio support.
It could be support, could maybe even be top lane.
The Urgot was giving Hobbit some trouble, so they decided to ban that, leaving up the Seraphine if Ventage chooses that.
Seeing unbench the Katarina in the chat. That has been open, I think, for Shumpo in a lot of these games, but just the Katarina just such a horrible champion that it's hard to pick into those places. The Darius going to be banned away here for the side of Zenith Gaming, so not wanting to see that one. Is a champ that can go jungle or top lane. Has been kind of a terror in the jungle recently, but did just get nerfed, I believe. As we see Los Nematos with the 4th pick here. See what they go for. This should tell us kind of where some of these champs are going with this lock-in on the 4th pick. That will be the
Hui,
Hui.
okay.
So, I mean, that's not where he was over there. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that that is a Hui mid.
Yeah, they do still have potential flex picks. Volley could be top jungle, Galio could be top support. But I am assuming probably Galio support, Volibear jungle. They're going to be saving counterpick for top here, waiting to see what Samurai goes for.
I like the Lux in response, just some additional range against the Hui, just allows that you to actually lane into that champion and be decently safe from the Volibear ganks. Really only one way Volibear can gank you is just sprinting at you, and Lux Binding pretty much shuts that down unless he flashes over it. He only can do that once though, and the Garen for the full Demacia synergy here with the Lux will be locked in. Decent blind pick into most things that Los Namados could answer with here. We'll see what they end up going with and where these champs are going to end up going. But I am leaning towards what you were saying there. I think the Galio will probably be support, but we'll have to see with this lock in.
Samurai must have had a coaching session with the Juma playing Urgot and
Yeah,
now Garen.
hey, the Urgot into the Garrett, and gonna be the answer of the Irelia. So a good champion, good in the lane matchup against the Garen, and obviously does end up scaling very well there in the side lane. But I think in the early game, Garen has a pretty decent edge into the 1v1 if he times his W correctly to dodge out on a lot of this Irelia damage. But
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. What do you?
I haven't
Yeah.
played top lane in a while. I don't imagine that this is a good matchup for the Aurelia. I feel like she just tries to go in, she gets silenced, she can't use her Q resets, and he just spins on her for a massive chunk of her health. Maybe Hobbit is just really confident on the Aurelia. Maybe he's just got it like that, but I don't see it being a good matchup for him.
Yeah, Hobbit the last game as well did look really confident in the laning and had a lot of winning trades onto Samurai, but a lot of that ended up turning into some overextensions. And, hopefully we don't see that kind of same thing play out here in this game, but it is just kind of looking like the story of these two champions in the laning phase, though, with the Garen into the Aurelia. One's the more high skilled champion, obviously, being the Garen, but now the Aurelia. But it's going to be that playing on the knife's edge. Which you're playing the Aurelia, you want to be able to play on the edge and really just punish enemy laner. But Garen, you just get to press 2-button face roll keyboard forehead and just kind of play the game that way. And if 420 Samurai can stabilize this lane and get some effective early trades and keep the Aurelia behind, it's going to be hard for Hobbit to kind of find purchase with this pick. I think in this type of a game when you already see on enemy side, the Amumu, the Braum, the Lux, the Garen. You're seeing these picks that make the life of a melee bruiser that's not a tank, that has to dive in to deal damage, just so difficult, especially the Braum and Amumu. So we're really going to have to see Hobbit make some magic happen here to make these team fights work, or just play the side lane really well in the split push.
Right. It is a better look on Los Namadas comp this game, but they do need this Aurelia to, have a lead or at least have pressure in the side lane, not fall behind like he did game one for it to really work. They have the infinite wave clear coming from Sivir and Hui. They can match easily if Aurelia is drawing a lot of pressure. It could work out well for Los Namados, but we'll have to see how he plays the lane.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they have the Galio here. Just like if you're going to be overextending and like trying to really push the limits with the Aurelia, having the backup of the ability to have the Galio just kind of hero's entrance in from almost anywhere on the map is very nice to be able to have. But I still hold the same kind of reservations for these team fights. Same kind of champion as like a Fiora. If you're team fighting with this champion, it's usually not where you want to be. So we'll see if they can make it work, but I'm honestly super hyped for the draft here for the side of both teams. I think that I like both of these drafts better for both of these teams than I did for both teams in the first game. So I think we're going to have a lot more exciting fights here. Shouldn't be as much of a snowball for the side of Zenith Gaming, but we'll see. Maybe KB Jelly another pop off game with the Amumu. Maybe there's a bot lane takeover. We know Lambo is absolutely disgusting on this Samira champion that he ended up getting his hands on here. And something we didn't talk about is how hard the bot lane matchup is if that does end up being the Galio in the support role, which I assume that it is. It's hard for him to even play the game because you can't really even cast your E. Because if you do, you just get locked up by the Braum passive and take most of your health. So, going to be probably some more defensive play from the Galio there.
Right. It is a different look coming from Zenith Gaming. They don't have the super clearing carry jungler. We have the Amumu, so hopefully looking to gank bot early and snowball this Samira because it is looking like their win condition is Lambo's famous Samira on this weaker early Sivir Galio 2v2.
Yeah, I mean it should be. It's not really not really punishing lane for Samira, so should just get to farm up and even have some decent 2v2 trading. Unless we can have the Volibear make some stuff happen here early on for Los Tomatos. I really hope to see it happen, especially towards the top side. I'd like to see him pay some attention up there, kind of put this Garen behind, get the Aurelia accelerated. Another classic mid lane long range mage matchup, so maybe not super interactive, just some farming and chilling as we see some fun hovers there from the side of Los Tomatos, but we'll end up locking in that Sivir. And yeah, I mean, draft edge, if you got to call it, who are we giving it to?
I would say Zenith Gaming still. I think Los Tomatos does have a better overall comp, just like easier to play, but I do just look at the gap that happened in the bot lane, and that was with Zaya. This time he's got the Samira, which is definitely a lot stronger early. I feel like Lambo's just going to take over this game. It's not really going to matter anything else.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say that for Samira, it is not the easiest to navigate in team fights either. You have the Hui, somebody who can lay down. He has that fear. He has a couple close range kind of crowd control abilities. The Galio taunt is there. The Volibear crowd control is there. Aurelia is terrifying for champions like Samira. So it is going to be tricky for Lambo to navigate these fights with this close range AD. Fortunately for him, he has the Amumu and the Braum to kind of provide some buffers against a lot of that with their crowd control as well. But not going to be the easiest Samira game to pop off on. I do think there's a lot of options for Los Nomados to shut him down in these team fights. And looking at the Zenith Gaming team comp, if Lambo isn't really ahead on this Samira and the mid lane's kind of even, you kind of start to wonder where the damage comes from for the side of Zenith Gaming. You kind of have a triple tankier champions with the Garen, Amumu, and Braum. And the side of Los Tomatos, it's not like those three champions are going to be able to really easily get through like a Galio, a Volibear, and Aurelia, especially with the Hui shielding coming through. Sivir has the spell shield on the extra move speed. So I do think that, like you said, it's going to a lot rely on Lambo to be the carry here for Zenith Gaming, because if he's behind, I think their game becomes much harder. And there is a really big world where you just have the wave clear from Los Tomatos is able to just buy them enough time in this early game to be able to come into the mid game swinging.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And yeah, I mean, looking at it on the side of Los Tomatos, they want that Aurelia to get ahead, but at the same time, they do have the scaling with the Hui and Sivir, so it's not going to be as big of a deal as if, the Samira's not getting ahead. So, maybe Los Tomatos does have the edge here just out of the draft. But, I mean, if Zenith Gaming play it like they did last game, it might be tough for Los Tomatos.
Yeah, if it's a jungle gap like that again, it's pretty much impossible for Los Tomatos to be able to do much if the Volibear is going to end up being behind, because that's the one champion in your team who you're going to want with this comp to be someone that's the first in line for a lot of these fights and running in to tank a lot of the damage. And if your Volibear is just insta-popping, there's no way that the Aurelia doesn't also just die pretty quickly too, because she's not a tank champion. Galio's on the support role. So yeah, it's really going to come down to me again for this jungle matchup. Can the Volley Bear make some stuff happen early? Can he equalize the game enough to be at a state where he's not just getting one shot the second he tries to run into these fights? And yeah, I mean, I want to say that the mid lane matchup's going to be exciting, but it's just another mage that piss clears. So it's just going to be the waves going back and forth. But Timberland in the chat calling out they have a lot of CC for the Samira, which yeah, totally correct. Yeah, he's going to be. I mean, if you get hit by a lot of that, you're going to be looking like you just had a couple McDonald's hamburgers and you're moving a little slow, which obviously Timberland knows all about.
And I will say about the mid lane matchup, despite the CS lead going to Shumpo's way, like Ventage was winning out in a lot of the early trades and chunking Shumpo out. So we'll see if he can make something happen in this one, or if we're just gonna be drooling on ourselves clearing minions.
Yeah, maybe he turns the script off for this game. Who knows? We'll have to see if the skill shots are as accurate here in the early part, because I just felt like every Zeroth Q was landing. I'm like, okay, somebody needs to investigate this guy. But getting into the load screen here, any Skinergy? Not really seeing much Skinergy from either end, but as far as the coolness of the skins, Shumpo doesn't even have a skin. So that's an automatic L for, I think, the side of Los Tomatos for the skin war. But Imumu might as well not be a skin, so that kind of is a -1 as well.
Right.
Pretty terrible skin.
Ink Shadow Volibear just looking like Rengar.
Yeah, honestly, looking like Rengar or like a Disney character. Doesn't really look as terrifying as some of the other Volibear skins, but at least it's not the Officer Volibear. No arrests will be made on the Rift today. Xerath is his playoff champ, says Hailstrom. Well, good to know. Make sure you get that one in the log, Ajuma. I know you're watching, taking notes here for the draft. Put that on the draft list. That's all right. Getting into the game here and now. Gonna have to see if any level 1 shenanigans, as again, an insta pause happening at the start. You love to see it.
Last time it looked like it was Tuskegee who disconnected then reconnected, so we'll see whose fault it is this time.
Well, I mean, when you're treating patients at the same time as you're trying to play in the tournament, you're gonna have to pause to get some of those vitals done, and then come back to the game. But was able to buy those items right away before the pause, so. Jima said, I ain't writing anything since y'all BM me. Well, looks like you just did write something, so make your mind up.
Yeah, since we have the downtime, might as well just shout out Ajuma for being the glue on Endless Void. Of course.
Yeah, true. Shout out to Jima. The stickiest member of the team, for sure. And that's not because he works in an elementary school.
Looking at aggressive Ignite coming out of the Braum. And of course the exhaust on the Galio in response to the Samira. Everything looking pretty standard.
Yeah, looking standard. The Ignite on the Braum is actually great. I love to see that into this lane, just knowing they're going to have kill pressure onto this Galio. Teleports for both soul laners on both squads is good. I don't think we had teleports in all the soul laners last game. I think we were missing one.
Ghost.
Yeah.
We're getting a real LTA pause here.
Seriously. Oh, man. Have to send it back to the analyst desk here for a sec.
Investigating a bug for 2 hours just to unpause it. Anyway.
So that for at the Brazil, like whatever that playoffs is called for LTA when they had the cross conference play. Apparently, when they had that pause for that long, they just couldn't figure the issue out, and so they just unpaused the game.
What, with C9?
Yeah, they didn't like chrono break it or anything. They just unpaused it, and C9
Well,
was like, okay, we just lose,
I
and they
believe
just like died and
they
lost.
attempted to chrono break it, but it failed.
They did, but it failed, and they couldn't like actually resolve it, so they just unpaused it and just lost immediately. It's like that was like the worst. I was watching that game in person with Timberland at Cop, and
Oh, yeah.
that was like one of the worst pause experiences ever. It was paused for so long, and then they just unpause insta L.
Yeah. I mean, kind of cringe on the side of C9 fighting that hard for the pause when it was pretty much guaranteed loss at that point for them anyway.
Yeah. It was a legitimate bug, I think, though. I always think the players should try to pause when stuff like that happens, but yeah, it did end up feeling pretty cringe after that. But I'm hyped for them this season, bro. I think they're going to be good again. LN is trying to FF through timer. That would be quite something.
Yep, I don't remember how much time you have in the rules to pause. I believe it's 15 minutes.
Yeah, each team gets 15 because it's a total pause timer of 30. So using up about 33% of their time here is Los Tomatos.
10 minutes, says KB Jelly.
Well, they have 10 minutes
Must
left.
still be paused 3 minutes into the future if KB Jelly's on the Twitch chat. That's not a good sign.
I mean, he could be second monitor Chad right now.
You know, it would be classic for our casting duo. I believe the first time we were casting Los Tomatos, and we ended up getting a spectator bug in the last game and couldn't finish it. So
Yeah, I couldn't even.
might be a
Just had
repeat here.
to edge everybody until the next time, and now we're just edging again. Don't get to finish the games.
I mean, I don't know if we have an update anywhere as to what the pause is about. Maybe a player can't connect.
In-game pause. Each team is. Oh, that's not an update. It's just the.
Oh, 10 minutes, yep.
Looks like Tuskegee Doctor is having issues on his end.
Well, I mean, they have 4 minutes, so it's like a pretty short amount of time left. I feel like I hear the game chat going, though. Damn, I mean, those patients aren't going to treat themselves.
That's a tough work-life balance when you gotta play your league match at the same time as being a doctor. Probably playing on a laptop set up in the hospital.
You're just playing on the vitals monitor. Yeah, gonna be about 3 minutes here of pause time left for Los Tomatos. We can start counting down out loud here from 3 minutes. I'm just kidding. I'm definitely not gonna do that. I feel like I hear the game chats popping off. Yeah, so here we go. Gonna be just in the nick of time for Los Tomatos. Gonna get to play this one out as we see the items get bought up. We will, in fact, get some League of Legends, the quality of which has yet to be seen, but I'm expecting a little bit more of a competitive game here. Looking at these two drafts as we see the champions pop in about, 3 times now. We'll see if that just restarts again. I think We're going to see them go here as... Okay, here we go. They're out of the base. Any level 1 shenanigans? Looks like a
worth
fan
mentioning
out.
is Jelly with the aftershock on a Mumu. Surprised she's not gonna go for some weird electrocute full AP one-shot build in Jelly fashion, opting for more of a
Yeah.
traditional Amumu build here.
Or just the standard Conqueror, honestly, which is the more typical rune that you take on a Mumu because of how quickly you stack it with your E and your W. But yeah, it does go for that aftershock, maybe thinking that, hey, there is a lot of damage on the side of Los Nomados. I'm going to be in there, and that means I'm going to be taking almost all of their damage, so I want to be a little more tanky. I like going tank on the Amumu here, because your Garen's probably going to go some damage items. Your Brahms is support, so Amumu, primary engage, primary tank. You're going to want to have some stats there. I like the rune choice a lot. Even goes for the green smite. Just that extra little bit of shielding as well, as we see Bulgaria take the same one. And does get that sweeper early. I think he might have popped the sweeper but not found anything, so not going to have that early ward to kind of track where Jelly will be. And I think, again, we're going to not have jungle starts be known.
I think he set down that ward on the top side and then probably went back for the sweeper. But
oh yeah, okay, I see that there.
We do see a repeat of the soy wards coming in from both teams, having no idea where the jungler starts, just scared that they're going to get invaded early on those paths and just not wanting anything to do with it.
Just the barista warding. Samurai getting some good trading here in the top side. Take that phase rush on Garen as well. So going to be a little weaker in these 1v1s against the Aurelia, who did end up taking that Conqueror. We'll have to see how that ends up playing out. As we see the cleanse taken for Lambo, which I'm not a huge fan of, honestly, against the team that we see for the side of Los Nomados, as Snobopsy just kind of showing us here. Oh, so low on the side.
Samurai
Hobbit and panning away just as he gets the kill. Directed camera does not want to show us that NSFW in the top side. Samurai with the solo bolo yet again, and that just has to do a number on the mental for Hungry Hobbit, just getting solo killed twice at the start of both these games.
I wonder if the silence was on Aurelia there, because he didn't even attempt to flash away.
Yeah, it was. He flashed in on the last tick of that silence.
Just completely calculated by Samurai. Really
looking like
really
Bwippo up there,
in
honestly.
the top lane here.
Reminds me of that Bwippo Surdy 1v1 earlier in the season. Yeah, and I mean, and just before that, we kind of saw what happens to the Galio here when he tries to go in with this champion, got stunned up and chunked down. But, Sivir doing a good job of trading back, and the passive going to end up landing there. Might have to burn the flash here on the Galio. Does get stunned. A good taunt, but flashes away with the ignite on him. So that's going to be down, and, both flashes burned there. One for Snobopsy, one for Lambo, and the ignite from Smoothie. But now on the top side, Bulgaria ends up flashing in, gets the CC down, so should just be 420 falling here. Not going to quite have enough to get out, and crucially, Hungry Hobbit taking that kill, which is very important for this lane.
Oh, he didn't drop an auto to get the phase rush proc to zoom out of there. He kind of was just slowed. Could have
maybe resigned to his death, but Shumpo just kind of walking it out here, maybe thinking, flashes back into the ability, but Lux ends up falling to the tower shot. Shumpo flashed in to the Lux AoE, and now the junglers find themselves around the corpses of their two mid laners, just vying for control of this wave as teleport's gonna come back through for either end.
Case for himself on the scripting front with the flash prediction there, looking a little suspicious.
Yeah, looking a little sus, gonna kind of wonder, what the purpose of that pause was. Did his scripting bot go down? Did he need to restart it? These are questions we're gonna really have to ask in the post-game interview. But,
of course.
As far as this game's going, a lot more promising for the side of Los Nomados. Sitting on 2-2, not really going to be down majorly, obviously going to be down that 400 gold because they did give up the first blood. But, not as rough looking here as far as the early game goes, and just going to be farming up under the tower here as a Sivir, not going to be complaining about that. And I do think we're going to see Hungry Hobbit having a little bit of a tougher time of it into this Garen matchup, despite having that one kill. just because I think, like you mentioned in Champ Select, Garen feels good into those matchups.
Lots of heavy trading in the bot lane, going even in terms of health, but you know, Lambo winning out on the side of CS, Sivir falling further and further behind. Did pick up the coal to try to stabilize.
Yeah, just a massive CS lead, honestly, for Lambo. Just Chovy-esque there in the bottom lane with just hoovering up that farm. And I mean, a lot of that comes down to how hard it is for the support on the side of Los Nomados to play this lane. You know, we called it out on Champ Select, but Braum just ruins the Galio's life in this early laning phase. You know, much like it looks like 420 Samurai's doing their Hungry Hobbit here in the top side. Would have liked to see him maybe try to get a freeze going here, but is going to look like he's shoving most of these lanes in.
Right.
Uh,
I mean, Bulgaria is hovering topside. We'll see if he revisits. It looks like he might, or he might just run straight to grubs in classic Bulgaria fashion.
Yeah, he's
walking
thinking
back and
about
forth.
it. He's really thinking about it. He puts the pink ward down, sees there's no vision, and said, "All right, well, he doesn't know I'm here. Better take those grubs." So gonna end up walking over there. Gonna take those. You know, had the mid laner roaming over as well. You know, maybe thought Samurai was playing in such a way that he, you know, somehow knew. But you know, good call on the grubs here. Going to secure this for his team, and Samurai going to take a recall and be safe from that potential scary bear from the top side. And missed a few CS there for Hui in the mid lane, but overall going to feel pretty good about those grubs as the dragon trade will come through.
Yeah, Shampo just living the classic mid laner life where you have to cry and watch your minions die as you hold your jungler's hand while he goes for the objective.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Mid laners are just holding their junglers' pockets at this point in the game. And 420 Samurai is going to have an opportunity here to make that freeze happen in the top lane. We'll have to see if he ends up opting to go for that one. As Sivir's honestly amazingly caught up significantly in the CS department somehow. I'm not really sure how this happened, but now only down that 15 CS, was down about like 25, 30 CS earlier. So somehow has caught back up. As Samurai just going to be insta-clearing these waves
Samurai
every time.
Could have tried holding a freeze there. He said, nah, we'll just insta-clear that.
Yeah, freezing is just too soy for him. Not going to opt going for that one. And Shumpo doesn't have that flash up, so not able to flash into that Lux E sitting there on the ground. Binding going to go wide as well. And Bulgaria making his way to the mid lane. We'll see if he ends up going in, but doesn't have that flash either. So really just going to be running menacingly towards the Lux, but nothing going to come of that as the ultimate will be used by Bentage to clear the wave.
Yep, this time Bentage is on the press R, no interaction champ. You know, last time Shumpo was on the Anivia, but this time Bentage says, you know, I can do that too. We'll never see each other again. I'll just press R on this wave and have a nice day.
Yeah, it's gentleman's mid laning there is what that is. Just agreeing to just, you know, we'll each farm. We're not fighting. Let me get my item. As not much gentleman's laning here happening to the top lane, though. Samurai just constantly trading down onto Hobbit whenever he can, and the camera just never wants us to see it. As another stun going to land here onto Snabopsy. Going to have to burn that flash again, but the Samira ultimate came down. Galio actually ulting under the tower to get out of the damage from Samira. Honestly, a pretty heads-up play by Snabopsy to cast that ult there to end up making himself untargetable for a brief amount of time. But yeah, that's a lot of summoners burned bot, and health super low for Los Nomados.
Yeah, I mean, another...
Oh, Bulgaria was waiting in the bush for so long. We'll see if Samurai can make it out. Does have that flash available. Does end up casting it, but was already slowed, so not able to create enough distance. And Feat of Warfare claimed with Aurelia getting another kill onto the Garen in the top lane. So that's exactly what you want if you're Los Nomados, is to get these kills onto the Aurelia. And Braum ultimate going to force the flash out from Tuskegee Doctor. Amumu, though, under the tower, pops the ultimate, hits the max range bandage toss, and ends up getting that kill. Samira ultimate going to get popped to take out the last member of Los Tomatos bot lane. Will end up falling himself, but the kill goes to the support. So not the worst thing in the world for Zenith Gaming.
Yeah, this is what we wanted to see from Zenith with this ganking Amumu to try to snowball their win condition on the Samira. Unfortunate he goes down, but I mean, the kill going over to the Galio, not the Sivir, so it's definitely best case scenario for Zenith there. I mean, once again in the top lane, Garen's phase rush not proccing. I don't know if they're just timing the ganks while it's on cooldown, if he's proccing it in trades, or if he's just not getting the autos in order to proc this phase rush before running away.
Yeah, I really am not sure about this. I'm just really unsure about this phase rush pick. I would have liked to see the Conqueror just to go for this more 1v1 orientated. God damn it, I did the orientated thing. Oriented play here in the 1v1, but yeah, I mean, haven't seen it. Ooh, the bandage toss gonna go wide, and the Bromkey gonna go wide, and the Lux binding that's missing everything. They're not gonna be able to get any of the crowd control down, and because of that, they will have to pay with their flashes. KB Jelly ends up going back in, has that aftershock though, so extremely tanky, but all of the Lux abilities are gonna land there at the end, the double binding into the ultimate, but it's not quite enough. Didn't have the damage to follow up there to finish them off, but at the beginning of that, just everything missing and having to flash away was pretty tragic for the side of Zenith Gaming.
I guess Sir Bopsy's just Thanos. His aura felt him in the bush.
Yeah, he just knows. He is taunting them both with his abilities and with his presence, and looks like Zenith Gaming's actually going to stick around here. Maybe they're looking to get a pick. Oh, Shumpo. Is he going to walk up? He's going to walk up. He just takes all this CC straight to the dome, and KB Jelly finding that kill finally. Making it happen. Passive gonna land as well. Getting all the crowd control down onto the volley bear. He is pretty tanky though. They did proc that stun, but maybe he's gonna take out the Lux. No, barely makes it out and pops the ultimate from the backside. Doesn't connect, but Sir Bopsy is stunned. Was pretty tanky with that aftershock, but gonna end up going down himself. Aurelia now gets exhausted and just not able to do enough. Not exhausted, ignited rather, but not able to do enough there in that fight with some low health bars, but couldn't quite find it.
Beautifully played by Zenith. Like, you would think they were playing very greedy with those health bars, but playing around the vision, chaining the CC, keeping Vantage safe, and they just demolish Los Tomatas on the top side here and pick up the grubs for themselves.
Yeah, completely demolished. As we see a nice trade from Lambo there, going in on the Samira, just using that ultimate to trade the health bar, knowing that he can do that in the 1v1 scenario with the Galio ultimate being down. We'll have to back away now, though, as Galio rejoins, but should be able to clean up this CS. But yeah, like you said, phenomenal vision play for the side of Zenith Gaming to really turn that around and turn that into an objective.
A little bit of a consolation dragon for Los Tomatas, but it's starting to fall into a similar spot where it was last game. Everything early is turning up Zenith Gaming. We'll see if Los Tomatas can rely on Zenith throwing early again.
A big chunk there in the mid lane from Bentage. A nice landing of those Lux skills. As we see now, the Aurelia starting to do a little bit of damage to the Garen here. Does end up taking most of his health in that trade. So Hungry Hobbit looking good in these 1v1s again. But when it gets to these team fights, we saw how quickly he was just crowd controlled and taken out. So I think kind of a similar story to last game with how these 1v1s ended up going, but how the team fights ended up going as well. And, like you said, with them taking that dragon, a bit of a consolation dragon, but we do see the Hextech dragon will be the Drake of choice again this game, as the lane of choice to gank will be bot lane now for KB Jelly. Should just be able to guarantee this bandage toss with the stun, and will end up guaranteeing it. We'll see if he looks for the second one as well, but the flash out from Galio does get the second bandage toss onto the Galio, pops the ultimate, not quite able to catch both champions, but I think they wanted to give this kill to Lambo, but he was just too far away as Shumpo ends up flashing out of the final Lux ability there, but not able to get away from
Vantage.
Another solo bowler for Bentage. Just lands that binding right at the end there after Shumpo had already flashed. Going to be back to the top lane here. I don't think that this is a fight that Samurai's going to want. Has the flash to get out and uses it early enough that time to end up making it away. Gets smited on the back end there by Bulgaria, but able to make it out. And, honestly, Samurai, even though he's losing these 1v1s, he's doing a really good job at kind of equalizing in this top lane in a way. Is going to be down in the CS, is weaker in the 1v1, but is avoiding a lot of this pressure that Bulgaria is putting down. Did end up dying the last time, but does a good job to live there with his team making plays across the map, and I'd like to see him continuing to avoid these ganks. And, I don't think that he really needs to worry about winning his lane. The rest of his team's winning pretty hard.
Right. He definitely knows that right now Los Tomatis' best hope is trying to snowball this Aurelia further, and he's playing as safe as he can. Definitely still losing out on a lot of trades, but he has the Garen HP regen. He can't just run away. Maybe a bit too close here.
Yeah, but Jelly waiting though for the maybe a potential Aurelia tower dive, just kind of waiting in the wanes to see if he can help his top laner out there. Going to be channeling and canceling that recall, which is something that's good to do. You can get it started, but if something happens, you can cancel it. But if you don't have to cancel it, then you're already recalling and you get off the map faster. So see if he ends up waiting around there. Should just channel that one and get on out to complete an item. Gets those Merc treads and then picks up another classic KB Jelly Negatron cloak. Just doesn't want to be taking any damage from them. He just hates magic damage, this man. He just never wants to take it.
So you'd have to think Garen has enough money at this point for his Stride Breaker. He's been sitting on these items for quite a while.
Well, Bentage getting gangbanged here in the mid lane. The CC all going to land. Flashes out with like no HP, but honestly, I think in that situation, you kind of save the flash. You're already pretty much going to be dead. As a nice combo here, but Garen's ultimate going to take out the Aurelia before the Galio is able to join. And the support Galio not doing a whole lot of damage, but thankfully Hui there to land some of the long range to finish him off. KB Jelly now with no flash available, no hope of getting out of this one. Will be a few quick kills over to the side of Los Tomatis. It's exactly what they needed. Exactly what the doctor ordered, so to speak. As Tuskegee just getting pushed off the tower here, but pretty much like last game where we saw a dominant early game from Zenith, and then Los Tomatis coming back and kind of after and around the 15-minute mark to get some kills for themselves.
Yeah, and we just saw it with the gold lead on the screen. It is all exactly where Zenith Gaming wants it. They have 2K up on their AD carry. That's like the more than what their team's gold lead is. So, things working out for Zenith. Definitely a bit of a throw-in happening on the top side, but if they can link up with the Samira around these dragon fights, then it should still go in their favor.
Yeah, the Amumu and the Samira just super strong right now. Obviously, the Amumu doesn't have a gold lead, but just as a champion and the way this team fights are going to go is just incredibly strong. Does end up hitting the bandage toss onto the Sivir, who spell shields it, but has to flash out anyway. Just doesn't want to get hit by that second one. As the top lane trades here now, not looking as bad for the Garen. Procs that phase rush there. Still going to be down in the CS department, but, has that Stride Breaker now. Has the Executioners to kind of try to deny some of that Aurelia healing from her Kit, Blade, and the Conqueror. So, good choices by Samurai on the itemization here, and I'd like to see him maybe even transition to a little more tanky at this point after he either just gets that Executioner's item completed or just holds on to that and goes tank. I wouldn't hate seeing that. I think you have a good amount of damage in your team with just your mid and AD, but we'll see what he ends up doing. As second dragon here now secured for Zenith.
Yeah, I was getting a bit worried with them all just funneling into the pit. If Los Tomatis came up, it would have been a bad position for Zenith, but, Los Tomatis decided to just give it. And now Zenith's up 2 dragons.
Oh, these stuns missing for the Aurelia is really hurting. I think he'd actually have kill pressure if some of these were landing, but not going to be the case. And the roam going to be spotted by that word in the bush. Galio able to clear that one out. Bulgaria now just taking a chug of his health bar from the Lux, just going to be using his ultimate on cooldown, as it is a pretty short cooldown on that Lux once you get towards that level 11, and then even shorter.
Way back up.
Yeah, just crazy short cooldown. It's honestly insane how short that cooldown is for such a high damage ability.
Otacon is spawning on the bot side here. You have to imagine Samira is close to her second item with the amount of a gold lead she has.
Ooh, Hui ultimate going to go wide there.
No flash.
And Samira now going in, flashing out of that Galio ultimate, missing the Q there though. Going to end up getting taunted up. Cleanses it though, and we'll see if he can turn that into a kill, but I don't think it's going to be likely. Braum here though to provide the extra peel in the CC. Yeah, flashing over the wall to get there, and Samira ultimate going to get popped again. But still, not quite enough damage. Going to end up taking that Q. Oh, and also taking out Sir Bobsty on the back end of that fight, just phenomenal play by Lambo to get the triple kill with his team coming in like the Avengers, just joining him there to just end up finishing those off. He looked like he was in a bad spot, but now the only person in a bad spot is Samurai, who flashes but is still stuck inside the Aurelia's cage. Hashtag jealous, but will end up getting taken down there and falling, but his team on that Atacon already taking that one out.
Yeah, and it's just remnants of last game with Lambo just starting these plays that look very int, honestly, but just with the size of his wallet and his team all flashing over walls trying to save him, it works out for him, and they end up getting the Otacon off of it.
Yeah, definitely some get down Mr. President vibes there. Just completely just sprinting in. Secret Service members there for VFD Lambo and enabling him on this Samira to just absolutely pop off. Exactly what you mentioned in Champ Select was that he was going to be the guy on this team, sitting on those 2 items now with the Infinity Edge Collector, just such an insanely strong spike for the Samira. So I expect to see Zenith Gaming looking for fights here at any opportunity they can get with this Fed AD.
Yep, gold lead, however, is dead even in this game. Los Namadas having the power on that side lane with the Aurelia like they needed. We'll see if that's enough to counteract how strong the team fights are going to be from the side of Zenith Gaming at this point.
I just think it's so hard. I mean, especially with how they've changed the game of League of Legends, it's so much harder to win with just side laning, with how many objectives just spawn one after another. Just winning through a split push just feels so hard. It feels like you have to team fight. And if we're looking at these team fights, just Zenith Gaming is going to have such an easier time with the Amumu, Lux, Braum, Samira combo, even if Garen's just in the side lane. Sivir can get to those 3 items and be pretty scary in her own right. Wei and Galio offer some decent team fighting as well, but they're gonna be a little bit behind the curve in order to get there. So, maybe they can stall out with some side lane plays with the Aurelia, but it's really looking like the ball's in the court of Zenith Gaming yet again this game.
And we can see with the lane states and the objectives coming up, Dragon under a minute. Aurelia wants to be on the opposite side of the objective, but she already has both turrets here. She's looking for all in, probably going to kill him here.
Yeah, looking for the solo bolo, and it's just going to take him out. Very cleanly played by Hungry Hobbit, not even having to burn the flash, just landing everything there, knowing the Garen has no flash, and, 420 Samurai just not really understanding that damage threshold. You can't walk up that close when you don't have the flash available, because you're not going to be able to get away. Aurelia just too many dashes, and that is the win con for the side of Los Namados. He's going to be on the base towers now, so Ping's going down.
Now what
Lux
I
ultimate
said
going to clear the wave.
Doesn't matter at all. If Garen's alive, then Aurelia can't really put pressure under the turret. But with him going down before this dragon spawns, it actually puts Los Namadas in a good spot to pressure the side lanes, while also threatening the dragon if people or Zenith
even threatening the Lux under the tower here too as well. Just Hungry Hobbit just absolutely going off, taking a little bit of damage from the tower here. They're going to have to end up backing out. Does go back in and take him down with the flash. 420 Samurai, will he be able to get in there, get stunned up? We'll see if he can end up chasing him down, but now we see the Galio Volibear trying to take the 2v3 here. I don't think this is a fight you're really going to want, though. You have Lambo here, and you don't really have the ability to take him out. Your damage champions aren't here. He doesn't die to the Hui, who ends up landing that damage on the back end, and Tuskegee Doctor now here to start cleaning up, canceling the port from KB Jelly, who flashes back in onto Shumpo, but I don't think that's the flash we wanted on the Amumu here. And Los Namados just turning that fight completely back around off of some heroic plays from their top laner.
Right. I mean, it's just exactly what Los Namados want. The pressure from the Aurelia drawing 2 over, and Zenith Gaming, instead of just giving over the dragon, decide to fight the 3v4. We saw the potential was there with how big the Samira is, but unfortunately getting popped by the Hui, and they have no damage after.
Uh-oh. Is it going to up another solo bolo from Bentage? That one looked like it was pretty much guaranteed to happen with the positioning on the map there. But yeah, Hungry Hobbit just completely smurfing this game on the Aurelia. An absolute menace now. Now at this point in the game, with how fed he is on the Aurelia, and the fact that they were able to get that second dragon, stop this dragon snowballing, from the side of Zenith Gaming, this Aurelia becomes a legitimate win condition and a huge threat right now with how much more time you've bought in the game.
Well, you see here, Lambo sick of the pressure Aurelia's putting out. He says, "I'll deal with them myself." Just going bot lane to match her, even with the Baron up. They have 2 down here.
Yeah, Braum there as well is kind of crazy at this point. Like, I definitely feel like you want your support to be on the map, getting some more vision at this point. You know, laning phase is over. Somebody tell him. As we see Bentage here getting taunted up in the mid lane, just ends up landing, gonna get stunned up as well. Should be enough damage to take him out. As Hui able to assist with some long range. You know, bot lane there from the side of Zenith Gaming, waiting to see if they can catch anybody crossing, but the objective's not in the Dragon Pit, it's in the Baron Pit, and we'll see if they, Los Nomados end up wanting to go make their way over there. You have Sivir pushing that top lane out. Maybe not quite willing to take this with just 1 kill taken out. You know, they know Amumu and Samira are still strong in these kind of clustered fights.
All right, Los Nomados just need to slow play it here. They can dance around the Baron and threaten that they're gonna do it, but they have the Aurelia unmatched in the bot lane. They don't have to force it. They just want to draw Zenith Gaming there and let the Aurelia push bottom.
Yeah, I mean, because Aurelia is just pulling 2 champions every time. Both bot laners going to answer the Aurelia there, and the jungler on the bot side as well. So that's just a free Baron start for Los Nomados, and there's not really a way for Zenith to contest this at all. Maybe just opting to give this one up. They know they can't really contest this without losing too much on the bot side, so gonna end up just giving this one over.
Yeah, I mean,
and wow, I mean,
playing around their side pressure so well, and Zenith is just crumbling. Like, they're not even trying to make trades, like go one side and give up the other. They're just letting him have both sides for free, just walking back and forth, not knowing what to do.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think their comms are just maybe a little hectic right now, or just like, you know, hey, we know we can't contest this Baron right now with Aurelia in this position on the map. Play for the next dragon, and we want the next, like, 5v5. That has to be what they're thinking, because, you know, you're giving this Baron up, you let them push the map for a couple minutes, that's totally fine. You know, we're not in a terrible spot. We can afford to just kind of wait, push the waves back out with Lux and Samira, and just try to play for a team fight at the Dragon. I do think a team fight, like a full 5v5 or a 4v4, is their best bet. If the Aurelia is not there, that's when they're definitely going to want these fights. So, but yeah, I mean, Los Nomados looking so much better this game, and such a better draft for them with their ability to have agency in the game.
And the 4v4 is definitely their best bet, but at this point, if we mentioned in Champ Select, the scaling on Los Nomados is probably not even favored towards them anymore. You know, you have 3 items on the Hui. It's hard for the Samira to go in as they're fighting top.
That Vanitas is actually so crazy with that range, and Garen going to flash in and end up getting the ultimate down, even through the exhaust, is going to take out Tuskegee Doctor. Unfortunately, cannot perform self-surgery, so not going to be able to patch himself up there, as Bentage, during that play, ended up falling in the mid lane, as Aurelia just going to be a solo pushing monster here in the bot side. Nobody is able to answer her. KB Jelly just got back to that bot lane to try to answer, but I think that Hungry Hobbit could just hit the tower, just threw the Amumu, tried to hit him and kill the minions.
Under the tower here.
Maybe he can do the 1v2 as well. He's against both the tank champions, ends up flashing out. Braum ultimate going to come down and tag him on the very end, but has the Galio here to assist.
No.
I really don't think they can fight this Aurelia. There's just not enough damage there, and there's only the tank and support trying to fight him there. So yeah, gonna end up falling. Double kill for the Aurelia, and you have to think that kind of spells the end for this game. You have Lambo running bot, but turning immediately, you know, not able to actually go in and try to get this kill.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how much the Aurelia is annoying them there, that they're just going to full send it.
Oh
Lambo
no, they're
going
gonna send it to him
flash.
again. Oh, they thought they could get. They did end up taking him out. VFD Lambo with a clutch kill and getting the double as well. Samurai laying down some damage, and the dragon is up. So there is a world where Zenith Gaming can maybe look for this one, but Los Nomados still has their jungler in mid available. They're already on the dragon. You know, Zenith Gaming would have to run there immediately, but
There's low men
maybe
on
they
the way.
it's low mana on the Hui, but it's enough to still cast all of his spells, and Volibear just does so much damage, and now with the AD carry there as well, yeah, it's just going to be soul point for Los Namados, so honestly, what a turnaround from them. 7K lead at this point in the game after a pretty dominant win for Zenith Gaming last game, so Los Namados really turning the series around and giving us a competitive series.
Yeah, Bulgaria definitely helping out in the top side after Hobbit got solo boloed to start the game off. You know, lots of ganks top to get this Aurelia back into it and get the ball rolling, and Zenith just has no answer for all this pressure.
Yeah, and you have to think that kind of like makes you question, like, what does a game 3 look like? You know, obviously not going to completely write Zenith Gaming out of this game here, but it does look extremely hard for them to come back in this one. You know, with the scaling, with the way the map is, with the soul point, with how strong this Aurelia is in the side lanes, and just we haven't really seen the ability for Zenith Gaming to match. You know, if this is how we're going to deal with split push pressure for the side of Zenith Gaming, you know, Aurelia is not the only split push champion in the game. There's a ton of other split push champions that can do the exact same thing that this Aurelia is doing for Hungry Hobbit in this game against Zenith Gaming. So you're really going to have to start thinking, like, how are we going to respond to these split push scenarios? If this is going to be our response, we're just going to lose the split push. We have to be able to come up with a strategy, as they're trying now to see if they can use the math strategies, just send 4 people up there and just kill him. We'll end up taking him out, but
tanks the stun, but still gonna one-shot the Aurelia anyway.
Yeah, it takes him out, but what do they lose for it? Bottom inhibitor, and I think if you're the side of Zenith Gaming, that's a death where you're like, we don't really care that I die there, because Baron's not up, Dragon's not up. I'll be spawned in time for Baron. I have teleport available. I'll just be back out on the map pushing a wave and still ready to teleport to the Baron if a fight does happen. So you do get a kill onto the AD, and, you know, Lambo is sitting on 4 items now, and that's Samira, but if you have to commit 4 people to the Aurelia to guarantee the kill, I think that's still a win for Los Namados.
Yeah, we'll see what Los Namados decide to do here. A bot inhibitor is already down, but they could still send the Aurelia bot just to ensure the pressure while this Baron spawns, and we'll just have a repeat of last time. We'll see if Zenith Gaming is more decisive and decides to send it somewhere, if they're just gonna be caught walking around.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we've seen more of the latter than the former so far this game. The decisiveness just has not been there for Zenith Gaming. Really not sure what to do against these split push type scenarios, but also Los Namados not opting for the split push now. Opting to just kind of group up here, but 420 Samurai going to be caught a little unawares, but ends up being able to run that one out. Snurbopsy taking so much of his health bar, but not flashing, crucially. Oh, taking just so much damage there from the Lux, just gets caught right in the pit and just sniped down. That final spark just bursting so hard right now with the 4-item Lux. I think it's 3 items.
They are starting the Baron. They have the wave in the bot lane to worry about, so they need to force onto Los Namados now before they lose their base.
Aurelia's here. Can do a ton of damage onto the squad here for this team fight. Do you end up going in and stealing it? Bulgaria takes the Baron away, just walks in and spites it. The Hui damage also coming down and doing massive work on the back end there. Oh my god, Shumpo going in as well for the double kill. Doesn't get taken out by the Garrett ultimate, but yeah, Hobbit is in the base. He teleported in, he's just ending the game. The Superman's already there.
It's over.
There's no way, yeah, it's over. There's no, the Garrett teleporting back in with 2 HP is so pathetic. He just right there shows up and runs back to the fountain, but Hungry Hobbit with the absolute dominant performance there, carrying his team to the victory, tying the series 1-1, and taking us to game 3.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Zenith should have been looking for the turn there. They opted for the 50-50. Doesn't go their way, gives Hobbit the Baron buff to just TP and destroy the base. Even with the fight going in the favor of Zenith Gaming.
Yeah, what a game, honestly. Just another good early game from Zenith Gaming. A punch back from Los Tomatos, but this time in game 2, the punchback actually had some weight behind it, and they ended up turning that into a game 2 victory. Los Tomatos with an incredible bounce back there on the back of some phenomenal hero plays by Hungry Hobbit and the boys. So love to see that, and love to see a game 3 here. We're gonna have to see, can Zenith Gaming deal with the split push? Because I assume if that strategy works for you for Los Tomatos, you're going to do that strategy again, and you're going to pick another split pusher. Maybe it won't be the Aurelia, maybe it'll be like the Camille, maybe the Fiora, maybe Yorick if it's not banned, which probably be banned. Yeah, I really want to see some adaptations from Zenith Gaming, because it didn't look like the decisiveness was there to be able to respond to those side lanes, like you said.
Yeah, maybe something like the Malphite coming out for Samurai that can just sit there and press a button on the split pusher, not die under tower if they struggle this much with the side laners. But we'll have to see what they decide to go for.
Yeah, Ornn maybe even would be another one that would be decent into that. Yeah, we will have to see. I'm gonna make some more tea real quick.
Right. You'll probably send it to a break before the next draft.
Yep, sounds good. Catch you guys on the other side of this break.
Lights go down intense, one last chance, no pretense. Crowds roll out and wild, victory dreams beguiled. Team fights for the crown, legends never back down. Hearts race and it's life to keep hope alive. Final showdown, here we go. Feel the fire, the warriors glow. Shining bright in every soul. True legends chase the goal. Skill and strategy, enemies, it's you and me. Push the lanes, break the walls, answer destiny's calls. Cheers echo through night, every move perfect and tight. Summoners call her clear, night of glory drawing near. Final showdown, here we go. Feel the fire, the warriors glow. Shining bright in every soul. True legends chase the goal. True legends chase the goal. True legends chase the goal. Skill and strategy, enemies, it's you and me. Push the lanes, break the walls, answer destiny's calls. Cheers echo through night, every move perfect and tight. Summoners call her clear, night of glory drawing near. Final showdown, here we go. Feel the fire, the warriors glow. Shining bright in every soul. True legends chase the goal.
In the heart of the night, we rise. Axes gleam beneath the skies. Thunder roars, the battle cries. We won't fall, we won't disguise. Storm the gates, our hearts ignite. In the fray, we find our light. Shields up high, we hold so tight. Through the storm, we take our flight. Fight the Ragnarok, we stand tall. Heed the ancient call, fight for all. In Odin's name, we never Legends rise and never pale. For the gods we set our sail. Fight through Ragnarok, we stand tall. Heed the ancient call, fight for all. In Odin's name we never stall. For Valhalla we give it all. Through the fire and the frost, nothing here is ever lost. In the battle we are crossed. Every life we pay the cost. Storm the gates, our hearts ignite. In the fray we find our light. Shields up high, we hold so tight. Through the storm we take our flight. Fight through Ragnarok, we stand tall. Heed the ancient call, fight for all. In Odin's name we never stall. For Valhalla we give it all. Through the chaos we prevail. Heed the ancient call, fight for all. In Odin's name we never stall. For Valhalla we give it all. In the chaos we prevail. Warriors' hearts in full detail. Legends rise and never pale. For the gods we set our sail. In the chaos we prevail. Warriors' hearts in full detail. Legends rise and never pale. For the gods we give it all. For Valhalla, we give it all. We give it all. We give it all. Through the fire and the frost, nothing here is ever lost. In the battle we are crossed. Every life we pay the cost. Through the fire and the frost, nothing here is ever lost. In the battle we are crossed. Every life we pay the cost.
All right. Perfect timing, everybody. We're getting right into draft. But first, shout out to Bulgaria, TXY25, and Kasaspi. Thank you very much. 30 Days of Love coming your way. We really appreciate those subscriptions. Casters, take it away.
All right, so we see Zenith deciding to take red this time. Played the first two games on blue side. Same bands coming out so far. See if there's any adaptations coming through. Right away, Zenith doesn't want to deal with the Galio. They thought it was too annoying, I guess.
Yeah, I got to take that one away, which I honestly thought looked like they got a decent advantage on it in that early game. But I do like the fact that they're going for that red side now, maybe trying to get some kind of a counter pick in the top lane as we see the Poppy and Udyr band away with the Smolder from Los Namados. No change ups there. I don't expect to see Zenith ban that Irelia. I think you can just find a better answer into it and maybe not let it get so ahead. I do think that Hobbit was the win con for his team that game, but I'm not sure if it was because of the Irelia or just because of the way Zenith came and ended up responding to a lot of the moments there. As the Amumu going to be the last ban for them.
Karma is up. I don't know if Snurbops is just going to want to slap down a blind Karma, but his most famous champ getting dropped on the ban list here for the Galio Mumu.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate to
There
see
it
that,
is.
and we'll just end up locking it in, yeah.
And Samira still up for Zenith. It definitely worked out very well for them, despite the loss. We'll see if he wants to go for that again, or if maybe he wants to try something else.
Personally, I would hate to see that just picked into what we already see face up with the Karma. I think
Yeah.
Samira is just so tough to play into a champion like Karma in the laning phase. Something like Nautilus, if you can land those hooks, it makes it a little easier to punish that enchanter, but you have to be hitting those or else you're just losing every trade perma.
Tristana. Okay. They're going to just try to dive in on this Karma. Might be a little hard if they're receiving too much poke. Gotta just send it before that happens, but they're definitely opting in for the kill lane 2v2 again, really wanting to snowball Lambo and take over.
Could be a flex on the Tristana to the mid lane as well, potentially. I'm not sure if
I don't think Vintage plays that.
no.
They're going for the Volibear once again. Worked out pretty well for them last time. Easy point and click stun ganks on the top lane.
Yeah, it had some great ganks on the mid lane as well. Now with the additional move speed you get from the Karma, just makes that bear that much scarier with the shielding and healing that can come through, the extra move speed, CC that can layer with him as well. So, like what I'm seeing from Los Tomatos with the Varus as well, just doubling down on that poke in the bot side. Really strong option for Los Tomatos, and Varus, one of the strongest AD carries on the patch. We'll have to see if he ends up going for that on hit or that kind of more poke oriented build. But
Zenith going for the bot lane snowballing, but Los Tomatos coming out with a very strong 2v2 with the Varus Karma. And Morgana dropping the, or Vintage rather, dropping the Morgana before it gets banned in phase 2 like it was in the previous 2 games.
yeah, and I mean, Bentage on that champion is a difference maker, right? Like he's someone who you can play that champion, and that can be something that wins or loses you the game. As we know with Morgana champion, just is absolute Thanos in this league for some reason. Just incredibly strong, great wave clear and push, great team fighting. That black shield just so useful. And now they're going to start sending some bans toward the mid lane. They get rid of the Hui, number one, for the side of Zenith Gaming, and I'd think for the side of Los Nomados, you could start banning junglers here. Oh, the Urgot, don't want to see that one again, so going to take that out. I think that's a wise choice. That looked pretty good game one.
And Hui definitely outputting lots of damage. Just just banning the 2 soul lanes from last game, saying, I mean, you won on these 2 champs, show us something else. Don't want to deal with them again.
Yeah, looks like a lot of that happening, honestly, from both sides with the Udyr and Urgot's ban from that game one. Don't want to see those. And last ban here for Los Nomados. See what it's going to be, and then see if there's going to be any counter pick options from Zenith.
I imagine Zenith will probably pick jungle here, not wanting their top lane to be in a bad matchup. Want to save the pick for last.
Giving him the Ajuma treatment, just the Garen Urgot bans in 4-5. And Xerath taken here is interesting. So is that going to be a Morgana jungle then?
Maybe Nautilus jungle. It is KV Jelly. I think that's something.
Ew, no. Oh, I really hope it's not a Nautilus jungle. It's so bad.
They might have overcooked their draft here. It's coming out a little burn.
No. If it's Morgana jungle, that's actually pretty good. Nautilus jungle would be horrible. You see the Maokai locked in as well. Just phenomenal draft so far from Los Tomatos. They have the double tanks, the double backline with the poke and shielding from the Karma, the poke from the Varus, as well as the ultimate that is so strong. KV Jelly in the chat said Nautilus jungle so strong. I can assure you that it is not so strong. There might be use cases for it, but it's definitely not strong. Mordecai's are going to be the last lock-in for Los Tomatos. Rounding out their comp here, just really phenomenal front-to-back type setup for them, and I really like what I see from their side of the draft, and we're going to have to see what Zenith Gaming end up rounding it out with. Will it be the Nautilus jungle?
Yeah, I mean, looking at these drafts, like Los Tomatos just draft canyon them this game. They have so many tools, like a big front line in front of this Varus, and
Renekton. There's a chance it's the Nautilus jungle. Oh man. R5 Renekton, LS somewhere is molding. Somebody check on that, man. But I don't hate the Renekton into the 1v1. It's pretty good into the Mordecai. You can break that shield with the W now, so not bad in the lane matchup. Does obviously get pretty outscaled by the Mordekaiser, but should be able to make some stuff happen early on. You know, whether that's Nautilus or Morgana jungle, both of those can layer pretty well with the Renekton CC. Yeah. So, you know, not a terrible look from Zenith Gaming. Obviously, one of these champions is not like the others as far as jungling goes, but we're going to have to see where they end up going with that. Yeah, his E does damage to monsters. Yeah, a lot of abilities do damage to monsters, but
He might mean bonus damage, but
yeah,
I
he
don't know
probably
if
means
it
bonus
does.
damage. But I mean, I used to play Nautilus jungle back in the day when they had those different colored smite items. When you had the purple AP attack speed one, that was sick.
Jesus
You get the
Christ.
attack speed reset on your W. You just max W, get that huge dot with the AP on your autos with the Nautilus W. That was crazy. The clear was really fast when you had that actually, but nowadays the clear is not great. So you kind of fall behind other tank junglers, and ganks are good, but yeah. Draft edge this game, Kazuto, who would you give it to?
I mean, I'd say it's on Los Tomatos all the way for sure. They just have a lot stronger champs, and Zenith, you know, just have a Nautilus hook to start it off. And it's like, I mean, they might pull ahead early like they have the last couple games, but if it ends up going like last game where Los Tomatos are able to get more gold, it looks really hard for Zenith Gaming to try to fight them here.
Yeah, it looks pretty tough. I mean, they have the ability to layer CC and pick targets off. They have the ability to make things happen in the early game. But yeah, I'm looking at that bot lane 2v2 for Los Nomados, just looking so much stronger there with the Karma Varus. You know, regardless of who ends up going into that jungle role for the side. Wait, I mean, actually, it's probably Karma mid lane, right? With Maokai's support, or do we think it's like a Mordekaiser mid lane?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, both teams opted for some weird picks potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I like all the champions I see on Los Tomatos, but like where they're going, I'm
Right.
not quite sure. We're gonna have to see. As we do see the
we see
Mordekaiser locked
Polly
in, so that
top.
will be the jungle, and it is Morgana jungle. Okay, well, thank God.
Oh, okay.
I really didn't want to see a Nautilus jungle. I would have been molding the entire time.
That means Karma is going to be locked in for the mid lane here.
Yeah,
It
Karma
does
locked in mid lane, Maokai support.
Yeah, it does make it a little easier on Zenith Gaming in the bot 2v2, having the Tristana Nautilus versus Varus Maokai.
Yeah, Varus Maokai. You know, honestly, and Tristana Nautilus actually is going to like that matchup because Maokai, in it to be able to do anything, you know, has to kind of either tank those Nautilus hooks or try to engage onto the Tristana. And if you're engaging onto Tristana as Maokai, depending where you are, if she can time that rocket jump well, she can just take you under the tower with the twisted advance. So a lot harder to play that 2v2 than it would have been with the Karma in the bot lane with Varus. But I still think Varus just a stronger AD carry right now in the patch. As far as just in this bot lane 2v2, but you know, we'll have to see. It is a little bit harder of a lane now for the Varus than it would have been.
Yeah, but I mean, Maokai, once he's 6, he does, with that ultimate, have something that just shuts down the Tristana trying to jump in and get the resets. So ultimately, for the game, a good pick against the Trist, but perhaps not right away in lane. We'll have to see.
2
Yeah.
minutes left on
Tristana
prediction.
can buffer any CC though with her rocket jump if you time it right.
True.
I'm pretty sure you can buffer like 99% of CC in the game.
Not Bardolt.
Not Bardol, it's true.
And yeah, just like Blitz said, there's a couple minutes left on the predictions. Get your points in. Who you think's going to win this game? Los Tomatos or Zenith? Tied 1-1.
I spent all of my points on my predictions, so all 10 of them are now on my prediction, which I will not share in order to avoid bias. Trist
Well, there
heading
is
to
only
Brazil.
500
Hue
points on
hue.
Zenith Gaming, so could be your prediction there.
I only had 10 points. Oh, wait, did I have more points? How do I see how many points I have? Oh, I have 3.8k points. So not as rich as Timberland, but
That Timberland does not miss. Just blitz hooks.
yeah. And thrush hooks.
That's not hooks.
And yeah, just any hooks, honestly. Just, shout out Timberland. You know, he has to miss hooks so that other people can look good when they hit the hooks. It's all about balance.
Nice Thanos for real.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see the Morgana come through here for the jungle. I kind of like that little switch up there, you know, with the expectation on both sides, honestly. With picking the Karma, you expect that to go to Strabopsy. Nope, that's going mid lane for Shumpo Shinigami. The Morgana, oh, that's going to be Bentaj in the mid lane. No, it's going jungle for KB. So a little bit of flexibility here for the drafts for both sides. And I think, honestly, that the way that Zenith Gaming has played this draft and allocated these picks, I do like a lot. Having the Morgana able to roam around the map here from jungle and affect top and bot side. Their CC layering is extremely strong for honestly all their lanes. So I really do think it's going to be important for KB to try to make things happen with these bindings and try to make some early things happen in this game, because I honestly think they get outscaled pretty hard here in this one, especially with the fact that, yeah, you have the Xerath for Bentage, and he did look really good on that in the first game, but a lot of that poke is going to mean a whole lot less against the side of Los Tomatos with the Volibear and the Mordekaiser, who can shield themselves. Maokai is self-sustained. Karma can shield herself and her entire team, so the poke going to be a little less meaningful for the Xerath, and Varus is also going to be poking right back.
Yeah, but I have to think if it goes super late, the karma damage doesn't scale as well, and Los Nematas are looking at a one threat team. Sure, they're super tanky, but if it's a full item Tristana, she shouldn't have a problem cutting through them. And if they just kill the Varus, then a lot of the damage from Los Nematas is gone.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm looking there at Mordekaiser then for that. Like, if he can just take out uh, either the Xerath, the Morgana, the Tristana from these fights, it just kind of ruins the play for Zenith Gaming. If one of their key champions is taken out in these fights, even taking the Nautilus and taking away almost all of the peel for for this Tristana, if he gets Mordekaiser ulted, just makes it a lot easier for the Volibear and the Maokai to get onto that Trist. So yeah, gonna be interesting to see how they play these fights out, because I do think this should be much more, back and forth in these team fights with how these comps are going to operate into each other. Both of the last two games felt like maybe a little stompy one way or the other. But, I expect this one to be pretty back and forth and competitive as we get a nice shot of the Blitzkrieg desktop here. We all see the hentai folder.
Yeah, we'll see if KB Jelly's
Ooh,
got
some Skinnergies.
the reaction on the Black Shield to try to nullify Mordekaiser ultimate.
Some Skinnergy from both squads, honestly, here. Just
Yeah.
kind of across the board.
Really turning on the skin game. Game 3.
It seems like there might have been some collusion to just have a entire rift matching skins. Gonna need to be an investigation after the game into that one.
Yeah. Renekton may perhaps the only one not matching. We'll see if he has a chroma that can.
Yeah, it's like that
his blood.
meme with the 4 soldiers in a row and then the one guy in the clown outfit. That's connected now with the skin lineup.
But something different. Bulgaria not on a champion that can really gank early. You can maybe toss out the claw, but he doesn't really have much to offer. So if the top lane trades going in the favor of Samurai as they have been early in the last 2 games. It might not be looking very good for Los Namadas.
Yeah, and taking that ghost as well, so can't even really go for like the flash alt plays later on, or like the flash, E plays into the early part of the game for some of those ganks. So maybe just looking for kind of that run enemy team down, run enemy jungler down kind of style with the ghost. But I do like to see the flash on Mordekaiser a lot, because you can just get those flash Rs are just so impactful. But we'll see how he makes this one work, because yet another fan out, some early wards that
Same wars.
they
every game.
don't end up really. These wards, they just don't see much.
They're just scared of being invaded wards. They give you nothing later. We saw
but
Tsubasi pinging the champions that they have on Zenith Gaming, scared of their level 1 CC. So definitely very afraid of getting invaded here.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you're on either of these teams or any of the teams watching, definitely still place those wards. They're super good wards. High value. You're definitely going to want to place those wards in the game. In fact, probably all 5 of your wards you should place in the river early on before minions spawn.
Yeah, man.
But yeah,
Losing 2 wards early that aren't going to end up seeing the jungler by the time they expire. So kind of a waste.
yeah, I mean, and honestly, maybe are okay with that. Would rather just feel safe, throw those down to make sure no shenanigans are happening. Maybe kind of betting that the 2 kind of level 6 AP junglers here on the map aren't going to be trying to be too active early, but I do want to see KB Jelly with some early activity. I want to see him get out onto the map here with these lanes. He can set up with the CC layering with these champions. I want to see him make it happen. So I'm going to be watching him on my mini map for sure this game. See what he can do. As we see some trading here in the mid lane from Shumpo, getting some good damage out onto Bentage.
Now, we do see the lethal tempo on the Varus, so he is going to be going for the on-hit Varus. This is probably what you want on this comp, with just a bunch of people standing in front of you plus the Karma shields. But when you look at the champs on Zenith Gaming, probably lethality is easier to play in this scenario. But he's got the comp to protect him, to give him the space to pump out these autos on super OP champ on the patch.
Oh, super OP. And honestly, I would have liked to see the lethality build here, just seeing as there's not really a true tank on the side of Zenith Gaming. I think the lethality Varus could get a lot of value in this type of a situation, but opts to go for that on-hit build, which still does a lot of damage, and you still have that poke. It's just not quite as effective. But, that ultimate, get to stack that passive up pretty quick and able to pump out some damage no matter what. As we see that arrow landing, Smoothie gonna have that bone plating, gonna mitigate a good bit of that. But so far, pretty quiet in the early game. Haven't seen the junglers really show up anywhere yet. As Mordekaiser now wants to change that, making his way towards the top lane. Samurai's already burned that E. Probably gonna have to flash out here. Does flash out of the claw, so will escape that gank, but at the cost of his flash. So a return gank will be pretty easy for Bulgaria. Ooh, and Snrbopsy actually having to flash out. The Ignite was down onto him. Smoothie throwing that down, and now another fight here. Samurai going back in. Ends up getting the kill. First blood on to Bulgaria, and ends up taking him out. KB Jelly just has to watch his crocodile die as he walks this one out, but gonna be pretty happy with that one, getting the first blood for that Renekton.
Lots of early fighting.
Ooh, the flash hook.
Flash.
Smoothie ends up getting that one down. Lambo taking so much damage, gets flashed on there.
No.
Tuskegee Doctor taking that kill, and now Snrbopsy just so low on health, but Smoothie just not quite able to get it. Oh, does get up getting the auto attack after the hook, but Tuskegee getting the feat of warfare for his team and getting 2 kills on this Varus here in the bot lane. A phenomenal start for the medical doctor in the bottom lane here early on.
Yeah, this game is quickly going to become very hard to play for Zenith Gaming. You have, your carry in the bot lane getting down 2 kills already, and what we expected in the top lane that they did last game, just the camping and punishing of Samurai, getting a huge lead on on Hobbit. We'll see if Bulgaria keeps visiting up there, but not looking good if it keeps going like this for Zenith.
Yeah, not looking good at all. I mean, Renekton did end up getting that kill, but he's still going to be down his flash. So Mordekaiser ganks on this Renekton will still be a thing for the next couple minutes, and the Volibear setup and damage early on is no joke. Is Samurai going to get some decent trading in there, but we'll take a tower shot for his troubles. As Hungry Hobbit going to be just okay farming this one up. I don't think he's super worried about any kill threat from the Renekton at this point in the game. Gonna be happy just farming it up and maybe taking a recall here shortly and teleporting back, as he does still have that teleport available.
Good dodge on the trade back.
Yeah, and Hobbit with that early 6. Ooh, max range hook actually from Smoothie in the bot lane. Gonna take that one, but immediately take a bunch of his health in the back end, and the flash in from Hungry Hobbit to guarantee that CC layering, and will end up taking down Samurai. Just like we talked about, that flash being down from Samurai immediately gets punished by Hungry Hobbit, burning the flash of his own with a great gank from Bulgaria to set that up. And KB Jelly here, we'll see if he can hit this body and actually get this kill. He will end up landing it, to just ends up popping him, and now running straight down to these grubs. But his mid laner still in the mid lane. Gonna be a contest of trying to get the smite. It doesn't end up getting the smite. Smite's a little bit too early, and now is going to be in kind of a troubling spot. Xerath putting some good damage down onto Shumpo from the mid lane, but walking in now himself to get some more poke down.
He steals one of them away.
Vantage, yeah, he takes one of them, and doesn't take the other one. But yeah, Renekton here, like you say, gonna end up layering the CC down onto Bulgaria, who might have overstayed his welcome looking for that one grub, and now Samurai here as well, but gonna be a little bit low himself, popping that Dominus to see if he can make anything happen. Should have cooldowns back up again soon, but is just so low. Hopefully just gonna walk this one out. Volibear, a nice job jumping forward with the Unstoppable to try to get close enough to Samurai to take the kill, but now KB Jelly maybe in a bad spot, gets CC down and taken out. That's a kill going over to Shumpo, so a nice spread of gold here for the side of Los Namados, and maybe looking to clean this last one up onto Samurai, but looks like he might be able to just make this one out. But Hungry Hobbit walking back up to C, cancels the recall, but with the Karma recalling, I don't think there's a way they can end up diving this.
And with the early pressure that this Karma's putting out, he's able to roam first.
Ooh, a nice hook threaded through by Smoothie. Tuskegee now with the Ignite on him really has to run away, and some good damage traded back onto Lambo. Has to pop the barrier. Actually, Solo just straight up dies to the Maokai Q. And now Smoothie trying to make it out, but doesn't have flash, so gonna get pulled back in. The hook's already down. Not gonna be able to Spider-Man his way out of this one. Should just end up falling here. No, he actually does end up getting to the wall there. So not able to walk in front of him to prevent the Q. They just gotta let him walk out.
It's kind of a disaster for Zenith. I mean, they're trading evenly, sort of, on these top fights, but the bot lane they're just falling super far behind, and you know, if they're just going to keep picking on Samurai, then Zenith really doesn't have any avenue to make any plays if they're just losing on all sides.
Yeah, Jelly with a bit of a lead here, having that level 6 over the Mordekaiser, who's still sitting on the level 5. You know, should change soon. Bulgaria actually dying again, so is still going to be super behind on this jungler, but the smite actually not going through. Is just on 1 HP. And KB Jelly not able to take that Drake, smiting early again, just like on the grubs in the play earlier. And Shumpo going to be feeling so good about that one, taking that dragon for his team, preventing what could have been a much worse play for Los Namados, and making it feel just that little bit better.
And Lambo just jumping in for a hero play. It looks so good for Zenith. I mean, still is. Would have been a lot better if they were able to finish off that dragon. But, I mean, getting some gold into your carry is, I guess, not the worst.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be complaining about that. And honestly, you know, this reminded me of Game 1 a little bit. KB Jelly, rather. Bentage Morganos, just like Bernard in my mind. KB Jelly just going to be the member on his team that has that lead. You know, sitting on a 1 camp lead has a kill lead in the jungle, has an XP lead for sure. Gonna be the champion that really you're looking at on the side of Zenith Gaming to carry this game, but you know, unfortunately, Morgana's just not the same type of champion as Udyr is as far as trying to carry these games, and you just see that one Varus arrow landing there on the bot lane onto Lambo just takes about 30% of his HP bar. Tuskegee Doctor just so massive right now on the Varus.
Yeah, I mean, just like Hellstrom brought up in the Twitch chat, like almost 30 CS lead. It probably will once Volibear finishes that wave in the top lane this early. It's like Renekton just cannot compete with them already.
Yeah, it's pretty doomed for the Renekton. The Renekton's a champion where you want to have that early game lead to snowball into the mid game and be strong, but if you're already down this far in the early game, you're just not really going to be a champion at pretty much any point in the game. Yeah, it's gonna be really tough. You know, I'd hope we see some Morgana plays maybe to try to get him something. You know, it looks like they are forcing out Bulgaria off of those grubs right now as we are taking a look at the bot lane fight here. But it looks like Mordekaiser's zoned. What was that?
He has first item completed on the Morgana, so
Yeah, he has the Leandry's down.
definitely something they can play around.
Yeah, I just feel like you just really, like, your first item on Morgana is actually just when you have Seekers and your first item. Like, it feels like you kind of need to have that to feel like a champion almost, but the Leandry's is no joke, so the amount of clear speed you get from having that and the chunks you get if you land that root and soil combo is just disgusting. So definitely going to be good to see that KB Jelly has that done, but I'd like to see him kind of just power farm right now to get towards that Zanya's, and then they can really try to make stuff happen in these team fights.
We also see the playoffs vintage Xerath coming in. He's starting to win these trades pretty heavily in the mid lane, chunking out Shumpo there. Still pretty healthy himself. Getting
Season 2 Finals MVP, playoffs vintage Xerath. It's definitely legendary in the Valhalla server. He is going to be making it happen here, and honestly been a little bit quieter in the bot lane now. Lambo's able to develop a CS lead for himself, only down that one kill, so you know, did feel kind of behind. Is now KB Jelly here. Snowbopsy flashed out, but he was already caught up in that ultimate, so going to take a lot of damage. Varus ultimate comes down, but the Xerath ultimate coming down as well, and able to layer the damage down. The reset does get Lambo the jump back out. He's able to go back in and start putting damage down with the Bulgaria, who does get caught by the binding, doesn't have that ultimate available. Gets a hook back in on the 2 though, and dealing a lot of damage, but it's just not enough. Tristana, another jump available, doesn't want to maybe risk it to go back on to the Karma here. A lot of low health bars. I feel like one Mantra Q just actually takes out one of these guys, so they're going to have to run it away. Not really wanting to risk this one unless they can maybe land something, but yeah, just so much damage there. Has to pop the Black Shield. It's almost just completely removed instantly.
Yeah, Zenith Gaming able to find a fight around their AD carry, who actually has the item advantage because Tuskegee opted for the early Zerkers, so Tristana getting his item completed first, being a little stronger in that fight there.
Yeah, and if I'm like on Los Tomatos right now, I'm pinning my Mordekaiser's ghost. I'm like, why did we not just take Flash? Like, it would have been so much more useful in a lot of these situations where it seems just like Bulgaria is just kind of caught out and just dying on this Mordekaiser, trying to overextend a little bit. And, you know, if you have that Flash, maybe you can make those kind of plays happen. But with the Ghost, you're either all in or you're all out. And it has been all out for a few of these plays, and not in the Cassante way. So gonna have to see if Los Tomatos can keep making it happen here. They are falling behind from their bot laner and jungle perspective, and now a fight popping off. Snowbopsy getting a little low, but disengaged from Lambo. Doesn't want the fight because he knows that the Varus now is here to join. Morgana binding gonna land, but gonna have to walk that one out as the rest of the team is here to kind of support. Actually just walks in with the solo ultimate, and the Black Shield flashes in. Gets the ultimate chains down onto 2 and the binding, so that is just Bulgaria dead yet again. Snowbopsy falling as well. Varus able to pick someone off of the back line to see if the snipe goes through. Not quite enough to take out Smoothie. And enough HP on Lambo, and now the Xerath here with full HP should spell Dragon for the side of Zenith Gaming, but opt to turn off of that one and instead push the lanes.
Yeah, KB Jelly taking a page out of Lambo's book there, making a crazy flash play that looks a little int, but they're able to make it work, dodging out on some abilities and finishing people off to actually win that fight. They're clawing back in and got themselves a little gold lead now.
Yeah, they're clawing back in, and they did make a big play there, but they didn't get the dragon. So that's KB Jelly flash down, but not really much purchase aside from the kills. And now just in the mid lane, Bentage just going to be taken out just immediately, and that should be a dragon setup now for the side of Los Nomados.
I mean, perhaps a little greedy from Zenith, not going for resets to set up around this dragon, just opting to stay in the lanes without spending their gold, and Bentage gets picked, and now Los Nomados has a free reign on this drag if they want to rush it down.
Yeah, they're set up. They're in the pit. They have 3. They have the double pink wards there to have complete vision control. Tuskegee is still extremely strong on this Varus, even though I do think Tristana has done a great job in catching up and trying to equalize. I still think that I would have loved to see the Poke Varus build in this game. Does land the max range ultimate there onto Xerath, so we'll end up taking him out. Not in a way for him to get out with no flash. Bentage, we cannot walk up that close with no flash on the Xerath, my friend. You will die, and gets taken out just like that. That is 2 deaths back to back, pretty much, for Bentage. Just dying and respawning, coming into the map. Guess what he's doing? Dying again. So now Lambo, we'll see if they can look for something again. Jumps over the wall. And the Nautilus ultimate going to come down onto the Maokai, so not able to get this damage down onto Tuskegee, who is hiding behind the wall now, avoiding that Nautilus hook. We'll see if they can end up getting some more damage here in this fight. I think it's pretty dangerous to play this one out if you're the side of Lambo and Smoothie. Just this Varus doing so much work, and yeah, we just see this happening now, just stacking that passive and popping his abilities off, just ends up taking them out for the double kill. As the mid lane 1v1,
Watch him
KB
burn.
Jelly just 1v1ing enemy mid laner. That's what you're going to want to see from the AP jungler for the side of Zenith Gaming, but man.
Yeah, I mean, it was a split on their targeting in the bot lane. It might be going on Jelly here.
Yeah, he burned most of his cooldowns. I don't think he has much left up at the moment, but didn't end up needing it. Bentage from downtown. Yeah. Taking him out, and Bulgaria just really wants this Rift Herald, but I don't think this is your neck of the woods anymore, as Xerath's pushing that mid lane in. Should be able to roam over to join soon. Bulgaria really wants to stick around to look for this one, as Benton is just hammering away on this mid lane tower.
I think he might get caught again.
I don't think there's anybody in range to find him, thankfully. So Maokai ultimate going to be a little fruitless there.
Oh,
Does still flash out of it, though, because he doesn't know where the rest of the team is. I think that's fair. You don't know how close the Karma is. You don't know... I don't think he knew where the Varus was. But... yeah, it's a fair flash. Obviously, we have the complete omniscience, so we could see. Definitely didn't need to flash there, but in his case, you don't know that you don't need to flash, so does end up burning that one there, and that's going to be tough for these fights later on. Xerath without the flash, that Maokai ultimate's going to be up way sooner. The Varus ultimate that caught him last time, guess what? That's going to be up pretty much all the time that his flash isn't available for the next couple minutes. So, going to have to keep an eye on Bentage here and see if he can play safe in these upcoming fights. But yeah, definitely, I think this is the closest game we've had in the series so far, and kind of what we expected from the draft with the way these teams are going to interact. But I'm gonna say I didn't expect the Varus to be this fed in the map right now. So great play by Tuskegee to get this much of a lead for himself, and we'll see if they can translate that to some of these team fight wins, because the next dragon coming up will put them at Soul Point.
Right. I mean, Zenith did a good job of getting Tristana back in and getting a lead over the Varus, but with that last 2v2, the Varus is now sitting on 2 items. He's a lot stronger than where Tristana is, and just checking back into the top lane, he's up, what is that, like 70 CS almost? He's just, it is not close at all. He's probably close
well on his way to the Flame Horizon. Yeah. And that Volibear build is just so obnoxious when he's ahead, like that. It just seems like he can never die with the Roa and then the healing he gets in his kit and just the garage sale of items he has right now. Honestly, like the Bramble Vest, the Doran Shield, the Roa, the Zeal. It's like this man went to the local garage sale and just picked up everything out of the bargain bin and said, "I'll take that. That's all I need to kill a crocodile today." But Renekton going for that kind of full damage build. I would have liked to see maybe a transition into something like a Styrax, maybe a little more HP early. The Eclipse isn't bad, but from this game state, when you already have the type of team comp you have, I think you benefit a lot from having Renekton be a little tankier. We'll see if he can make it work, but I don't expect to see that Crocodile living very long in many of these fights.
We'll probably just be having a replay of last game where they cannot match this Volibear on the side with anything, and they might just fall apart with all the pressure that he puts on.
Yeah, we saw they can only really match him with having KB Jelly. Goddamn, it's gonna happen a lot. KB Jelly roam up there with the Morgana and look for a 2v2 or a 1v2 rather, or a 1v3 play with the Xerath artillery joining. So, if they can make that happen, Benchage can clear the mid lane and then kind of join with that semi-global ultimate. So, maybe that's an option that they have. But yeah, I do think that Volibear is gonna be pretty hard to stop here in the side lane.
Setting up around this dragon, there's no TP on the Volibear. We'll see if they opt for the 4v4 or if Renekton's gonna give up top turret to TP down for the fight.
Yeah, he is just still hard pushing that top lane, and Renekton kind of in his face right now, not going to be able to get space to teleport if he's playing this close. So maybe just looking for the 4v4 play. And this just takes about 15% of his HP there in the one trade. Tower shot does go back over to Volibear though, so good amount of HP gone off of him as well. It's just this Varus poke not really doing as much as it could have if a different build, but I still think this build's fine for this game as Maokai going in on to, I think that was the Tristana who ended up jumping out. Oh, the flash hook from Smoothie. Gonna go straight on to Volibear, who does get CC'd up. Yeah, layered the CC down and Lampa take him out, so immediately gonna prompt Los Namados to go straight onto the dragon. Xerath kind of just leashing it for him here. I don't think it's going to be... Oh no, going to run into the Sap Lady. That's going to probably guarantee him falling here. Maokai ultimately going to come down to layer that CC down, and Bentage will fall. Dragon as well goes to the side of Los Namados, and Zenith Gaming did a good job taking that pick, but there's no reason to run back in there after you get that kill when you know they're set up, and they can just turn right back around on you.
Right, but going as far as blowing the Nautilus flash for the Volibear too, it's like, great, you shut down the split push, but you lose Dragon, and then you lose Bentage off the play too.
The pug area dies to the Anagon, but still somehow gets the kill on it. Wait, it was the false life one. So he died, but does he spawn and have the false life, or does he just not have it now?
I'm not sure. Be interesting to see.
Previously, they've had it when they've come back to life.
Okay, there you go. But I mean, yeah, Los Namados on sole point here. So, I mean, the gold lead is pretty close, but just in terms of the dragon and the game state, it looks like Los Namados is pulling away with a lead. I mean, Zenith Gaming still in it, still can fight back.
Yeah, definitely not all lost for Zenith Gaming, but that soul point, especially with the soul that it is, that mountain dragon soul, gonna be so strong for the side of Los Namados with the Volibear, the Mordekaiser, the Maokai. These champions all benefit so insanely much from the extra stats you get from the mountain soul, and then even just from the shield you get on top of the karma shields. With that actual mountain soul claimed, it's going to make it so hard for Zenith Gaming to kill any of these champions on the side of Los Namados. Nautilus flash for the hook or not, it's going to be tough. So they have to pretty much be forced to fight on every single dragon from now on.
Looking for a pick on the Karma on the side.
Yeah, we'll see if they can find her, but the Varus ultimate going to come down, not going to really find much purchase. Does get the root though onto Lambo on the back end, but able to just jump back out. And yeah, Smoothie not going to be as lucky as just the tower dive coming through with the Volibear. They say we had enough of just played safe around these fights. We're going straight in. We have the false life. We can just dive right under your tower. We have the Volibear to help us out with that as well, as KB Jelly now Yeah, this jungle is not yours anymore, my friend. Not with the state of the map. This Volibear is terrifying and should be able to run you down. A nice root and flash out from KB Jelly, but yeah, actually, we'll get that false life with that last little tick of the black pool. Able to do enough damage with the tower to get that out of the Volibear. So a small win for the side of Zenith Gaming, but with Hungry Hobbit just entering these skirmishes, it just looks more and more doomed for Zenith Gaming.
Right, I mean, he's probably close to his third item. Renekton hasn't even touched his second. That's like, this Varus is massive as well. Like, he's like quietly just getting all the kills. I mean, that's the point of this comp, is just keeping him alive. We do see a pause come through.
Yeah, Varus had to count his gold, or maybe has to treat an additional patient, so you know, you can never know.
And with Lambo going for a Zeal item third, it might have to wait till he's on 4 items with the Lord Dom to really start pumping through the front line on the side of Los Nematas. So they have to stall this game for a long time.
Yeah, it'll definitely have to be quite a stall, you know, with Tristana decent scaling, but nowhere near the scaling that a champion like On Hit Varus has, especially with all the support he has around him. You know, we had KB Jelly go for this 2-item burn build and then Morgana delaying that Zanya, so you really only have that one stopwatch usage. And without the flash, you know, it really reduces the effectiveness of that ultimate play from Morgana, so gonna have to see what they can do around the next fight. You know, the next dragon up in about 1:30. You're not gonna have your flash on the Morgana for this fight, so you're gonna have to find some clever angles. You probably have the flashes on your Tristana and your Nautilus and pretty much all your champions except the Morgana, so there is a world where they can make some plays happen here, but I think with just how much HP, even though the Mordekaiser's stat line isn't the greatest, you know, he still has the Rylai's components, he still has the Leandri's completed, so even if he just casts the ultimate on any member really of Zenith Gaming, taking any one of those members out of the fight for even like 5 seconds is enough time for the Volibear and the Varus to just run over the entire fight.
Right. And this next dragon fight might be best case scenario for Zenith Gaming, with Varus not having flash himself. We'll see if they're tracking the summoners, because they just need to try to full send on them with the Nautilus point and click. See if you can burst them down. It really lowers the amount of damage Los Nematas have, but with how big this Volibear is, it might not end up mattering if they do end up killing them.
Yeah, because it's like, what else do you send onto him? If you have the Nautilus point and click, are you sending Tristana to jump in there to deal damage? Because she'll just die to the Volibear, who, speaking of dying to the Volibear, Bentage looking like that's going to be his fate pretty soon. Will get taken out by Hungry Hobbit, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to layer the Morgana Q with the Nautilus abilities, because you have all the champions standing in front of the Varus. Xerath abilities you can probably layer, but yeah, they're Hail Mary Baron right now, as you called out, which they honestly have a pretty fast Baron, and they see enemy jungler on the bot side, so maybe it will get zoned off by Just or Bopsy. Yeah, it's a good turn. They layer the CC down, and they try to turn, but I honestly think they could have just stayed on the Baron. They saw enemy jungle on the bot side. If they would have stayed on it, it would be dead by now, but now they have to look to fight and look for the 50-50, and Bulgaria's already in the pit. Tuskegee Doctor already killed Smoothie. Oh, and they just lose the smite fight as well. Just absolutely taking him out. Oh, man, that was so tough from the side of Zenith Gaming. They were split pushing on the top side, or Los Nematas was split pushing on the top side with Volibear, and they thought maybe this was their window, but they weren't decisive enough. They didn't commit to actually finishing the Baron. They tried to get a turn play. I think if they actually choose to finish the Baron as the... That was pretty funny. He failed to jump over the wall, but Tristana helped him out and pushed him the rest of the way over the wall, then he just died to the Xerath.
Alley-oop to the Xerath.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the desperation on Zenith. They felt the game slipping away into unplayable waters, and they just went for the Baron. But, losing the 50-50 like that, I mean, it's going to be extremely hard for them to win this. Like, the Volibear is just getting flashes for free and killing everybody. I mean, he falls there, but, Soul going over to Los Nomadas, and it's just
Oh,
really
the
hard
Mountain
to be able
Soul.
to
Yeah,
win this.
it is tough. Yeah, again, I really think they could have just finished that Baron, but that's the decision, the pressure that comes down on you sometimes in these playoff matches where, that one call can be like the difference between winning and losing the game. And, they made a good call, I think, to go for the Baron trade for that dragon. Or before the dragon spawned, rather, when they saw enemy jungle on bot river. But I think you have to be a little more decisive in that situation. You have to just decide, hey, we're clicking on the Baron now, we're not turning off of this, we can finish this and then get out. But they go for the 50-50, like you said, and ends up punishing them. So Mountain Soul now for the side of Los Tomatos, which we just talked about how scary that is for them to have this really powerful soul on these champions. It's going to take a miracle for Zenith to win the next fight, I think.
Still no Last Whisper on the Tristana, so really the only ones he can do damage on are the carries, but I feel if he's in range of the carries, he's just getting blown up regardless, so not a lot of damage going to
Is that the
come
Young
through for
Towel?
Zenith. The what?
What is that item on
Oh
Tristana,
yeah,
the yellow
the
item?
tall arrows.
Oh no. I feel like that's where you would have wanted the armor pen item. I don't know her builds, but I feel like, yeah, I don't know.
I think
But I
right
mean,
now
hey,
they're going Yuntal first.
yeah. Either way, gonna take a miracle here for Zenith Gaming to try to hold off this push against the Mountain Soul of Los Tomatos. Extremely fed bruisers, a 10-0 Varus on the 80 carry roll here as the poke and siege, the war of attrition now just kind of layering down onto them. Xerath going to throw out the artillery, but the minions honestly just doing a lot of the work. Probably going to take out the tower here, or just about one auto attack away on that Nexus tower, so next wave should be able to do it.
Baron has falled off though. It might make it a little easier for Zenith to survive this push.
Yeah, Nautilus hook gonna land and get the full
Sending it.
combo down onto Tuskegee, but just able to flash right out, pops the barrier, and then just turns right back around and kills the Nautilus. Renekton gonna melt almost immediately, looking like a paper crocodile there, and the rest of the team just falling like dominoes, one after the other. Double kill to the Volibear. Hungry Hobbit was absolutely ravenous for a victory this game, and taking the dub for his team, looking monstrous while doing it. Los Nomados with a 2-1 victory.
Yeah, GG's Los Nomadas able to bring it back after a tough first game loss and even falling pretty far behind in game 2, but they stayed in it and brought it back to win the series. And props to Zenith Gaming too. Definitely coming in as the underdogs, but they made it really close. So it definitely wasn't easy for Los Nomadas.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Zenith Gaming making it a competitive series. Coming out, winning that first game, and making it go to a 3-game series. Always fun to see. Some competition here, and making that last game pretty close too. Towards the end, ended up being a pretty big gap with the Volibear being just so insanely strong and the Varus. But for most of that game, it was pretty competitive. So yeah, shout out to Zenith for making it a fun series, but shout out to Los Tomatos for taking the series 2-1 and looking pretty good while doing it. So props to the boys, and Tuskegee Doctor, managing to treat patients and be 11-0 in Varus at the same time. So
Yeah, we see Bentage in the Twitch chat announcing his retirement, saying that's his last fives game.
damn, what did you go on to Twisted Tree Line?
We're losing the goat. Throw it in the towel. As Zabel winning out big on the points here.
Oh hell yeah! Forgot about that. Nice. You will see me doing TFTs. Well, hey, at least you can win trade in the TFT World Championship, apparently. So there's a way to climb the pro ladder there, according to Riot.
MVP vote is live. Put your votes in. I mean, I feel like it's got to be Hobbit.
Yeah, I was giving it to Hobbit as well. Just that last game, yeah, the Varus had the stat line, but none of that's really possible without the frontline play. From the side of Hungry Hobbit and Snrbopsy just setting it up. I mean, obviously Tuskegee has to do the work to knock him down, but especially that game 2 for Hungry Hobbit, just on that Aurelia, just looking so dominant and really carrying his team over the finish line in that one. So, going to be my vote for MVP, Bulgaria. Good shout out. And actually tied in the votes now here for MVP. Maybe some smite stealing bias or something, but definitely thought it was a little bit of a weaker performance in the third game from Bulgaria than the other two, but still a solid series overall.
Yep, true. From Hailstrom, he did have the smites. Lots of lots of objective steals on the 50-50s.
Yeah. It's such a tilter because it literally is just a 50-50. Like, if the enemy team lets you walk in there, just RNG.
Yeah.
I feel you, KB. I have the old man smites as well. Mid-30s. Gonna be the tied MVP, Bulgaria and Hungry Hobbit. Nice.
Hungry
KB was
Hobbit
MVP
is
for Los
hiding,
Nomados for missing bears.
so we get Bulgaria.
As I said in chat, since it's a tie, you pull there you go.
Both of you.
Tuskegee's up.
Nah, I don't know about this one, boss. What are we doing here? Holy, what?
What am I doing here?
What is the plan
Hey.
here?
Now I guess our whole team's just here. Okay. This is something.
Oh my
Hi,
gosh.
everybody.
Hello.
Hey, did you know that
Why are we
Bobsy
here?
is the MVP this time? And he would
That
like
is
to say a
valid.
couple things.
Hey.
Go ahead, Bob. So you
definitely
speak.
me. These games were really tough. I was stressed the whole time. Yeah, no, it was super close both times. It was like knife's edge for all these games on who would win them. So yeah, I'm really happy we're making it to the next round. My brain's pretty fried, but I'm
What
just
was your
glad that
favorite
we're
moment from each game?
progress. Oh my god, I can't remember the games. We played games. What happened?
I've got
my favorite moment is Bulgaria smiting. Yeah, that's
yes, right.
Yeah, he especially game 2. He saved that game 2 like big chumpo damage. Right after I got caught and died before the important fight, as I always do.
What do you think the biggest difference was going from game 1 with that loss into the next 2 games?
You.
Why is Shunpo asking the questions
I know,
and not
right?
any of the guests?
Hey, I mean, if he's gonna ask the question, that's great.
Right.
No one's
No, it was
stopping me.
honestly it was Shumpo just getting everybody's mental back in shape. He as he said, he did all the thinking for the first game. He was constant calm to keep everybody's mental up and everything. And then between games, he made sure we kept our mental up. And yeah, he did his job there. And then some. He did my job, honestly.
You got to have a glue guy. It's definitely important in the squad. So, I mean, the competitive series taken all the way to 3 games. I thought some very impressive play out of the top lane in game 2 with the split push. Is that a strategy you guys look too often with kind of putting Hobbit on a side laner and trying to exploit enemy team, blunders in kind of the rotation there?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Hobbit's really good with the lead. He's a player who does extremely well when he gets ahead. So we've kind of found throughout the series, throughout the season, that whenever he just he's gotten some crazy like many kill games where he just hard carries himself. So especially when there was so much salary in the bot lane on the other team, we kind of figured that we had to kind of nullify them down there and hope that we can get Hobbit going on the side lane and kind of play around that.
ADC can't be everywhere.
Right.
Very true. Well, I mean, looking ahead here, I think, well, since you guys won this one, you're actually playing, I think, our team in the next round of playoffs, right?
Yep, this Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm trying to convince Bopsy to come out of mid-retirement and take on Kazuto in the mid lane, run it back like old time's sake.
I second that.
There was talks between game 1 and game 2 of doing some lane swapping and sending me mid and Shempo top and Hobbit support. It's something we've messed around with a little bit, but I'm glad we decided to stick with our tried and true method and just go back to, not overthinking draft and first picking Gwen when we haven't really practiced flexing it.
Yeah, we were a little confused on that game 1 draft. I was kind of like, huh, they're surely cooking a little bit here with this one.
I was cooking a bit too much on that. I always
Every
overthink
single
the
dish was
first
burned.
thing at the start of playoffs. I always start overthinking stuff, but I feel like we've gotten back in our groove again. It also has been like almost a month since we've like played a game together as a full team in like official games.
I feel that.
Yeah, we were missing subs for week 8, and then we were against the scrim team, which wasn't able to be put together for week 9, and there was the break week, and then we pushed later to Wednesday. So yeah,
I legit didn't play for a whole month, so
Yeah.
it went well.
We should hopefully be in a bit more confident shape whenever we face you guys.
Yeah, because Zito's
Sunday.
just out here playing Marvel Rivals. I don't even know if he's playing Southern Rift anymore, so we'll have to see. Put him in the jungle. I'll be going mid lane here.
Perfect.
Trust.
I do have to buy a desk, John. That's exactly what I need to do. My house is kind of a wreck, so we'll see. I might be playing lane in bed. We'll see what happens when I get home.
Oh boy.
Xavier.
But yeah, I mean, congrats, guys. I don't know if anybody else has any questions for you guys on the day here, but it was a fun series. It was fun to get to 3 games and have them all kind of be a little bit back and forth. I didn't think any of them were boring, so it was fun to see the team fights here, and some of these smites coming down to the wire with both junglers just sitting in the Baron pit sweating, like just waited. So yeah, it was very entertaining, and props to you guys for moving on to the next round. And sorry that you have to lose in the next round, but that's it just is what it is.
yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we're the only team that actually beat you guys in the regular season. So I don't know.
That's true.
I feel like we're at a 1-0.
Actually, we lost to a ghost team too.
That's also true. That is fair.
Well, I mean, you can't even hit them because they're incorporeal,
right?
So.
You gotta have like a magic weapon or something.
Our magic weapon is a Juma in the top lane.
Hey, hell yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations, team. You're more than welcome to go back to your own chat. Any thoughts from our casters to wrap this up and get everybody home?
Gotta say, I love the aura radiating from Hungry Hobbit. What a Chad.
What do you mean? I'm just sitting here chilling. I'm tired.
There it is.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening or great rest of your morning, as it is a Thursday on the East Coast. And we will catch you later this week. We still have 2 more pods to go. And then we'll have fresh games on Sunday. And I'll be putting up a poll so you guys can vote for which of the 2 series you want to see. All right. Have a good night.
Peace.
In the heat of the fire, hearts burn with desire. Victor's call to Valhalla, others fall into mire. Blade to blade we stand, rulers of this land. Only one to the light, all others take flight. Echoes underground, warriors rage profound. Every step loud and clear, no retreat, no sound. Courage and the ground, warriors rage profound. Every step loud and clear, no retreat, no sound. Courage and fear blend, victory round the bend. In Valhalla we meet, only one's journey end. Night turns to dawn, battle still pushes on. Glory in the air, one will conquer, one be gone. Echoes on the ground, warriors rage profound. Every step loud and clear, no retreat, no sound. Echoes on the ground.